So let's start by doing that. Is this live?
Here.
Not yet.
Twitch TV slash Manikai.
There we go. Now it says live in the corner. Good.
Look at that fucking bird.
Yeah. It's
Some
sweet
live
bird.
watching.
Beautiful view. I can move it around. Look at things.
No, look at that.
Look at what?
Oh,
the stream?
I
Yeah.
just followed your So like, oh hey.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the broadcast, it sounds like Aries' voice as well as mine has an echoey quality to it.
Yeah, and that's because I see it move out on both my PC sound and my microphone mix, which
Oh.
shouldn't, I don't think, shouldn't be happening. It means that there's some sort of playback too through the microphone.
Yes.
Which I've stopped everywhere else, so it should be possible to do here too. Otherwise, I'll just have to. Yeah. Yes, that it was the it's been a fight to try to make that not a thing. Let's see here, desktop audio and the microphone. Let's see. I even Well, sucks, man. But that's a problem here too. Let's see if I just, it's not ideal, but what if I just disable desktop audio? Then they should be able to just hear you through the mic.
Ostensibly, that would be correct.
Does that seem to work?
I'll have to unmute the stream and see
Yeah.
whether that works.
Yeah. I suppose then it would make sense for Ari to say something.
I'll say something. That's alright.
Okay, there is no echo there. You did
Okay.
it.
Good. So, certainly not an ideal solution, but you know, for now it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all else fails, I will create a backup. So if for whatever reason, like us waddling you to become the broadcaster content creator of your dream doesn't work out, I'll have something. And if that goes wrong too, then all hope is lost, and the session is doomed.
Yeah.
You know, I understand
Maybe I'll
that
write a short recipe of the session.
that following your dreams to become a content creator, that always works out. So
Yes.
that is what I hear. It's the job of the future.
Maybe stick to what you went to school for, man.
What?
Okay?
My degree, science, as if no one needs that anymore. The climate is not an issue, clearly.
You're not hitting that like button, is?
I need to do sponsorships for cutesy mugs or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
You're
it seems.
Twitch.tv/Manikai.
Yeah. /Manikai. Yeah, I got that real name. Didn't even have to do what I did with
make
YouTube.
Do you want to make a stream announcement and how to be Roll's Discord? Let folks know that you're live?
Yeah. Yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? Let's see here. /everyone. That seems a bit excessive. Well, I guess everyone can mute that channel if they're not interested. And I just sent my...
Guarantee that they already have if they're not.
Yeah, oh, I don't have access to the channel, so I can't.
That's okay. I'll inform folks.
Yeah, and then I'll have to...
That's somewhere along the way, I got access to it.
I'll have to ask Jonas tomorrow to just give me access. Should be so. During Warhammer.
The fucking bird.
Very
right
good.
there.
Excellent. Good. Wonderful. Fantastic. Used to be a scowling goblin, but this is better. Curious bird, you know?
Yeah, curious, that's what it is.
Don't know what you're
Just to
suggesting.
feel those better when I zoomed in when I like I clicked to view the original picture. I was like, oh, whoa.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
It's intense.
Yeah. I'm a very intense person, as you can hear.
Yes, yeah,
Well,
that's
shall we get into this game? There's much to do, and though we can probably talk about streams for a long time, but we don't need to.
All right, Ari, what happened last session?
yes. Last time, there was a lot of fighting. As the Chosen and his group ascended to the last ritual site, which is seemingly keeping the deceased king of the Cloud Giant from joining the legions of the Death King, the dragons decided to interfere. And the original plan was to take out the flying minions and then, swoop away again, which was not at all what happened. It ended with a full confrontation with the Chosen of Stamiana / the Death King's lizard vampire servant. And, after a short discussion that amounted to, please leave, let me do my job, by the lizard, and no, I will not allow this turn around into fighting. And it was a pretty fucking rough fight. The dragons barely succeeded to withdraw after having killed all the Chosen's minions, which really, it was Emissary killed really most of them, as the other dragons were just being dazed, taken over by very little effort, seemingly from the Chosen's magic mind bullshit. And afterward, they rested upon the mountain, and Pacific decided to talk with the tradition-preaching Cloud Giant, and they agreed that maybe they should reestablish some ritual sites. I don't know that they agreed how to do that, but they agreed on that. Afterwards, having done this battle, the Dignus and the Fade destroyed the rest of the coalition of lizards. And while they're still around, and there's still a lot of them, they're no longer a faction on board. Emissary Leadership had another meeting with her, surprisingly agreeing not grant Viros, and they sort of agreed to work together in the shadows, ironically, since they're fighting the Shadow Shar. To influence the council against Shar, despite Cindermoon's, I don't know if you can call it reluctance, since she just seems to not do anything about it. But yeah, working together, trying to basically put Emissary in a position of power over the Club, would not have thought that would happen anytime soon, and especially not from the guy who seems to be the least happy to see her when we first met all the bigger parts of Emerald Enclave. So, props. And I think that's what I have in my notes.
All right.
I think there was a link to a discussion about a future encounter of trying to destroy the Ultimate Shard that was found in that, get them to
Yeah. Certainly there was. Now, last time we completed a couple goals, and, we completed one and abandoned one. And so we have a goal slot open. We have two, technically, but one of them is generally reserved for Lignith. If you have something you want to put in there, you certainly can. Just assume that you get rid of it if it's not done by the time he gets back. But if not, we still have one. This would be Recicatrix's, generally. given that Emmy still has her 2 goals.
Keep these.
Got it, Ari. We have
Well,
integrate the Emerald Enclave for Eclipse the One. We have mislead the Thane expedition, reduce their progress. We have secure an Earth mode worthy of Malignant. We have subjugate the Southern tribes.
yes. Well, I was deeply inspired by a conversation that happened over the week with Grimmett in the chat. So I think that my goal will be to integrate the Sleepers Council into the market.
All right.
It sounds better than booing the Beholder, but that's
All right, I'll say that's a hard goal. So
Just
integrate
serenade the Beholder.
I'm charming.
the Sleepers
Boo,
Sleepers
boo.
Council into
Read
the
boo.
market. And I think it's
Boo.
hard. It's hard because basically right now, if you asked, the Sleepers have no real reason to
Yeah.
do anything. They're pretty happy where they are. They're just sort of left alone to be their little weird cult, and they're sort of good with that. So you will have to
I'm not
one.
gonna ask them.
You'll have to sort of make something happen that pushes them to a situation where they might need help or need to be part of something bigger or want to be part of something bigger or find something you could offer them that they would sort of that they would
Yeah.
want to actually work for. They have Yetra, their leader, has a bit of the same problem that and really the name of their faction says it all, right? Says the same problem that Emisure has in that very much enjoys doing very little.
Yes.
And so becoming part of another faction means that he doesn't decide always when he wants to do very little, which
That's fair.
is going to take some convincing, but certainly it's a way forward.
Wonderful.
It would be an interesting ally.
And I guess for a temporary goal, if we're going to pursue, like destroying the, I don't know if you had anything in mind.
I do specifically.
Yeah.
It's going to be to smash the
Yeah.
Shrine of Shar beneath Affleck.
Okay.
As
Yeah.
it turns out, this is a motivating thing for me that might take place today.
Yeah. Let's call it destroy Sharite. What do you call what is that? What's that as a?
I don't know what the active.
Well, let's call it. We'll write it differently. The altar of Shar. And that is going to be medium because there is certainly it's not easy. You can't just do it. On the other hand, you have also there are other powerful beings also interested in accomplishing this, right?
Right.
But you certainly need the driving force behind it. Tar. Tear. Source. All right. That will be our goals then. Filling us out entirely.
Paste those down into the group chat so
Aye.
that they can be beheld and witnessed.
I will.
All
There
right.
we go. We can delete that other
Ta-da.
one so we don't just have them doubled. There we go. Now we can all keep track of them. Good. And well, I mean, we'll basically go into the game pretty much immediately. It last time we had some quite a bit of fighting. There was a bit of a what do you call that? A disagreement, I suppose, a disappointment, maybe even. That led Velignith to basically stay in and defend the this giant ruin by himself for a while, fearing that this chosen would return to bother him more. The other dragons, though, they have other things to do, other important things, and it is now that we take our time to dig into those things. Of course, time will pass, but our goal here is actually to get things done. without just sort of letting it sit for far too long. So I expect some years will pass before they get back to doing a lot. So I suppose my first question is there anything you want to get done as you've moved home, taking a rest?
I've not gone back to Nathlek. I returned back to the Grand Temple because of the purchases I have to orchestrate.
Mhm.
The actual money, which we've discussed, you and I.
Yep.
And that requires her to do that because it's her money, and she's also got to commission the thing that's going to be part of the test.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the thing and the test.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a wise worm would do, not sagely.
Gotta be well prepared.
Yeah.
Thing that just approaching something head on.
It's almost like this dragon approaches problems in ways different than other dragons.
Mm-hmm.
There's a desire to apply less effort. I was thinking about utilizing my company in some way, but I don't think I would. I discussed last session that I don't think they have the driving force that would cause them to take initiative without the dragon, because there's no one like ambitious enough to do so there that I have like a name attached to. Nor do I think I would sick them on the Emerald Enclave to get them to like perform tasks as my dragon and Varos discussed. I don't think that's really in their sort of sphere. I think that's something the dragon would handle directly.
Yeah.
If there's going to be anything that Emisaray Leader here does as she's waiting to acquire like the assets before returning to Nathlek, it's going to be to begin personally to exert her will upon the Emerald Enclave. The idea in mind being that as she is still, until stated otherwise, the mouthpiece of Cindermoon, that she can begin recommending positions of prestige and like tasks for worshippers and followers who are like strongly attached to Cindermoon, such as keeping an eye on Anglospark and the disasters with like crops that are happening in Turmish. Or like as the darkness is spreading across like the sea and reaching into like Westgate, that's something that like important and prominent people need to keep an eye on as well. And perhaps also like throw around the idea that it's heard on good word that the blue flame might spread into Westgate as well.
Oh. All right. How hard does she like push for this? Like, is it something she mentions, or like, is it deliberate? Like, find the people and then order them to go do something about these things.
I think it's a deliberate find the people, and it's not like she's not going to give them a direct order, but it's the sort of like implication that a dragon might give to a non-dragon, like a lesser creature, that I'm speaking on the behalf of someone that you care about, and I'm also a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the idea in mind to frame it that these are like good, like prestigious things to do instead of I want you out of this forest.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm asking simply is that like she's doing it in a manner that is clear enough to anyone that this is that she's actively participating.
Yes, she's actively participating.
Compared to
She's
sort
looked
of
away from Nathlek for the time being to focus in on the Enclave.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that's something they will definitely get into. I'm thinking, or just make the Enclave here do a gather information role to try to see if they can, it is to get them away, but they might also learn something. Being informed about the general goings on. It's not their strongest suit, but yeah. The stuff in Turmish seems to be benign. It is simply because there's a lot of people, and war generally draws people away from the fields. So
Is
so
there any further word about, several years back when that floating island showed up at the
They-
fog?
they haven't seen it again.
Okay.
In Termish, it sort of came. A bunch of people disappeared, and then it went. Though the coastal regions certainly are alarmed. It has taken the back burner because they have more immediate problems. People don't have time to think about what happens if a weird Iron Spike Island comes back when they've just been invaded and taken over by a dragon and they don't have enough food. So sadly, there isn't really an environment. They will go to Sembia as well, though, and we'll hear news that such a thing has been spotted along the coast of Sembia. Though, given how news travels in the darkness here, there isn't really much, especially with this role, to get about what happened with it. Just that, yes, they've seen the great iron pillar and the strange fog. Beyond that, yeah, Zambia is entirely unnatural, and it doesn't like it. As for Blue Fire and Westgate, they're there looking into it, but they don't find any. I mean, there was, of course, Blue Fire. I mean, it touched pretty
Yes.
much everywhere where magic was active. But
I think the dragon would only make mention of it, as she would say, because aberrant creatures continue to show up, like looking into what's happened with Starmantle, and they got to be coming somewhere.
yeah, operations are certainly the definition of unnatural. Good. I mean, that sort of performs her side of this plan, so to speak. So anyway, I don't think a role is necessary here. She's been set up as the mouthpiece of Cinder Moon, and she's also powerful and impressive in her own right.
Correct.
Well, she's
I like when the dragon doesn't have to roll a d20. That's good. That's effort.
she's home doing her shopping orders, probably from Westgate.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like, not only many merchants would perhaps deliver to a draconic harbor, but these are dangerous times, and certainly the ones from Westgate are the ones who they'll deliver to anywhere without scruples, and try to undercut each other for the business too. What about Resecatrix here immediately following this? There's been the fighting. There's lizard folk in many places. There was some word that some of them have begun, having small little villages or sort of huts along the riverside. There was some contention with that. But what's Resecatrix's immediate plans given that? What's happened?
I think she's starting to plan and we'll try and find out about the Rupert tribes that have been smashing shit, taking over the Watchtower and stuff.
Sure.
That was sort of part of the I don't know, agreement or understanding, I think, last time, that if we were to establish ritual sites, we should probably stop some of all these people who are wondering about destroying them.
It was also suggested by the giant that, I mean, these southern tribes have basically been tributaries of the hierarchy forever, and to the giant's mind, they still are. They just haven't been paying their taxes, so to speak.
Yeah, well, maybe that's not gonna that's gonna be what happens.
I will say I appreciate the Cloud Giant's commitment to his own compulsion, that even in the face of everything.
It's those servants of ours.
He-
Okay, yeah,
him-
whatever, dude.
Him and his tribe, him and his kind, I should say, they tried to act on their own, and it went absolutely terrible, which has only reaffirmed his faith that he should not have made any decisions ever and just followed the command of his master, because that would have been much better.
I suppose their mountain peak did fucking blow up.
Yeah, and the whole hierarchy
He got
fell, and
imprisoned in stone.
there was a part where they helped kill their king, and it was a mess.
Well,
So yeah, well, they're very stuck up. That's certainly So the tradition
he's
is
trying
is
to redeem himself, or I don't know why. But
You know, on one hand, good old Vocord back then also had these. He was also troubled in certain ways, but you have someone like
Sure
Victus who breaks out of that mold and completely says, "Ah, tradition can go die." I don't
I'm
care.
so glad Vokor was frozen in Indecision too. This campaign could have been different.
And he hung out for so long, unable to make any
He could've
decision.
completely destroyed us.
Oh, that took forever. I had this whole thing and like a flow chart of what he would do in certain places, but he just said at the start asking if this was the right year, and it never was. So yeah.
We got him to go back.
Mhm. Yeah, well, that was his weakness. He certainly was very powerful in most other ways. If he has his faith with him. All right. Well, that give me that seems like is Besekitrix going to go herself, or is she going to send the marked into this land to see if he can gather information about these different but what's going on basically?
I think she's gonna go herself, probably.
Okay.
She would want to send her people, but they're not exactly mounted people.
Mhm.
So while she might, also send some of them to like not go into too near the ogres, because that seems like a bad time, but just like they go out on field trips to the mountains.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a rock. This is a cliff. They're like, oh,
Everyone's
there's
got like
no
a snack
water
pack.
here.
Yeah.
You know, like a lunch prepared for them, like chaperone.
Hold hands.
They could start looking up, some form and stuff, and she'll still go do the actual scouting.
Here's a stream bed, like have them do like the sort of like science reports that Manikai had to do.
Go out there with your flora book, collect 50 different plants and identify them down to nearest family.
Like this hard
Yeah.
killer just like looks at like the number 2 pencil like in the notepad, like what?
Try to draw the flowers, even though she knows that they're not going to do that because that's too much work.
Yeah.
She's tricking me. This is some sort of like test.
Oh, God.
Well, it is a test. It's true.
Sounds like we should have a being informed role here with the die for the dragon participating.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that influence and sovereignty. This area certainly doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have a cohesive faction, and thus it doesn't have anything preventing you from learning.
Yeah.
There's no espionage because there's no resistance to it.
So it's gonna be 6 dice for you then, right? Or...
Ooh, double
Nice.
nines. Yeah, all right. There's currently going on what usually happens. They have sort of a little bit of a Dynasty Warriors thing going on, I want to say. If you know what that means. It means basically that this place has been united by powerful beings for a long time. Giants, say. Who has held a strong, firm grip until they suddenly didn't, leaving a nice power vacuum into which a lot of different warlords of different types have sort of jumped. Meaning that now it has sort of been split up into different groups. Many of the tribes have been subjugated by different warlords who are now sort of fighting each other for dominance. Each having grown powerful enough through defeat and victory to actually be competent. And at this point, it is less anarchy and more sort of like a five-sided, all-in-all war situation.
Okay.
With nines, I'll even give you some information about who the different contenders are. There is the Ogre Magi brothers, a dangerous pair, believed to be the most powerful in the field, sort of fighting. There are 2 ogres who both happen to be intelligent, which is rare for ogres, meaning that they're ogre magi. They do magic. It is said that that one of them, because he was at a close point of defeat with their rival, Hobgoblin Fort, reached down into the darkness of the world and gathered necromantic power, with which he's battling for supremacy. This led his rival, a hobgoblin commander, to also seek out a dark power with which to fight back, having locked those two factions in somewhat of a stalemate for a bit. This has allowed a few others to rise up. The newest contender to the scene, known as Mystic Burr, a bugbear who has strange powers. He can move things around with his mind, and thus he has perfected the power to make everyone look at him at all times when he's around, which is a very impressive thing for a bugbear to do. Beyond that, bugbears are fairly rare in these mountains, and so, he stands out to the goblins primarily over that. He's sort of weaker than the others, but a contender nonetheless for strange powers. Beyond that, there is someone who basically has claimed the title of Lord of the Hierarchy, which is High Shaman Uzak, a hill giant with a couple of other hill giants working with him, who really has mostly survived because he is a hill giant shaman, while most other people are goblins or ogres and some such. It's just sheer size and physical power has carried him a long way, though he's certainly not wise nor smart, nor particularly strategic. Facing him generally means being buried under boulders and being hit with a big stick, which nobody really enjoys. Beyond that, of course, there's plenty of minor lords, but these groups, these four groups, are the ones that are currently sort of prominent.
Okay. Be a lot of dark politics.
It's it's an arms race.
Yeah.
Alliances are made sort of in a Game of Thrones-y constant manner, and backstabbing is certainly also an expected part of it.
I know a telekinetic bugbear. Who would have fucking
Beyond that, you can be pretty sure that any of them would delight at having a dragon on their side.
Right, like that could turn the tide for them.
Oh yeah,
They could be the true rulers of the Southern, right?
in a
Yeah,
huge
for
way.
the hierarchy?
Well, I mean, only one of them claims to even want that hill giant. The others don't particularly care about the hierarchy because they're not giants, and so it doesn't mean anything to them.
Cool. I mean, there seem to be ripe with opportunity for backstepping and putting factions up against each other there.
Like, with that pair of nines, I suppose I'll feel like a question off of that. Are there signs of stone giants in like the southern mountains where Cicatrix and her minions go to look?
They don't find any.
Okay.
They don't seem, also from the word, they don't seem to be active participants in the fighting. They don't, like, word is that they're probably around, some of them somewhere, but no one you find has sort of seen them. They used to be pretty prevalent as they went around doing all sorts of things. People generally would try to avoid them because when you meet them, they would demand something of you. While if they couldn't find you, then they couldn't demand anything of you.
Yeah, that's how it works.
But no, I mean, it seems most of them have gone underground where they live perfectly fine. They sort of have the ability to melt through stone, so they sort of just go into little caverns and such. They have no exits, and then they live there, presumably.
Bedguard for the Death King.
Really, the nearest you get to an answer is, stone giants. Well, thank God they're not around anymore.
All right.
All right.
There's some places that are taboo to go because they used to be, it's like a crystal cavern with some crystals in it that the stone giants used to have as an important place, and the tribes still don't go there. Right? So it's still too recent that would be a death sentence. Beyond that, it's said that High Shaman Uzak has multiple times said that he could call upon them
Right.
if he wanted to.
Yes. Well, he might actually be able to.
He hasn't done
Oh,
it yet.
wait. Who could really-
I was gonna
yeah.
say. The necromancy ones might be able to. I doubt that this guy can.
Who could really call his bluff, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no faction really is super eager to sort of commit 100% to one fight because they don't want, any of them feel they have a chance to lose against any of the others. Maybe except for Mystic Burr. Most people think they could take him, but he's not about to let that happen.
They want him. Oh, I Burr. I mean, that's a good name.
It's certainly a bugbear name.
Yeah.
Said that he hangs around near the Goblin Cracks, where his power base is. Many of the other creatures are too big to get into the narrow holes that are sort of in that area.
Yeah, that's right. Now, if only that guy could call Stone Giants, huh?
The ogres have taken the watchtower, though, and
Yeah,
the
I-
others are down for the south.
The Twin Brothers?
Yep.
Or whatever they were. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but they need to be dealt with also. Well,
That's a bit of information.
yeah.
So now it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it.
Try and influence them. Fight each other more. But
They already are.
yeah.
Fight each other. Already doing that, boss.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly
You
is.
can go ahead. I'm looking at actions.
Sure. Then perhaps I will have to do a thing or two. So,
All right then. There's no need to be threatening about it. Just take it easy. It's okay.
mhm. Let's look around to see. We have the Great Tribe. Ooh, I'm just gonna move. Actually, they've been killed. They're not gonna reform here. There's probably something going on in the deeps, but after losing faith, I mean that's kind of sort of the thing that held them together, and it was certainly shown that their chosen was not gonna carry them to glorious victory. So maybe the chosen lost their way after bringing them to the surface, or maybe they should return, or yeah, who knows? There's 1,000 opinions about that. So they're gonna split up, go each to their own.
Should be.
Thunderhome working with Velignith, and on his general request, will do something that will happen without much fanfare, really. Just moving from them having the garrison around the old mine to letting Velignith have the garrison.
Dun dun dun.
Wait. What?
At
Why
this
is it
point,
red like the Oprah point.
because that's also Velignith.
That's also Valignus color.
Velignith is red.
Legion is under Valignus control.
Oh,
He's been trying to
The Goblin
repair it.
Cracks are here.
yeah.
Yeah, but the silver mine has been controlled by the dwarves, and Velignith has clearly been agitated, and it's really two-part. Thunderhome fought Velignith. They've tried to hold a strong wave against it, but at this point, enough people are sympathetic to the dragon or have grown up with this sort of draconic enforced peace, if you can call it that should they try to go against him, there would simply be too many of their own people disagreeing with it. The mine beyond that is a dangerous place, of course, with the every now and again sort of undead eruptions, and well, they're probably going to prosper from it anyway. Silva's going to be mostly worked in Thunderhome. And, nothing bad can happen having Tiamat on your side. There are probably still dwarves there, but and it's probably a gradual change, but to some degree, Thunderhome's total independence is beginning to become a fiction. Right, we have the Radiant Host and the Shadowbar up north. This year, the Radiant Host will strike out. They've been collected over a long time. They have supporters from all the cities of the northern, except for Westgate, obviously. But beyond that, from all the city of the Dragon Coast. And we'll strike out against the Shadowbar, trying to push them back. That is a good chance. Shadowbar will, of course, try to defend. And they will not succeed. Now, we could make that a whole lot of rolls, but I think we'll simply have them act as a duelier. As the Radiant Host moves forward, strikes at the Shadowbar and pushes them back. A glimmer of hope is appearing in the north of Cormyr, and that is a glimmer that you would hear about because people talk, and they have long feared this shadow. And what would happen even to the Dragon Coast? I mean, if it thickened over Cormyr, if Cormyr was consumed, then there is no power greater around here that could stop them. So you would most definitely hear that the light is beginning to grow. Maybe someday soon.
It's a good thing that Cormyr is standing against this threat. It's taking up forces to fight evil. That's what Cormyr does. Only Cormyr does that.
Yeah.
The greatest force in the region, Cormyr.
Battling darkness. But yeah, I mean, the Thayans are perfectly happy with it too. Very, very glad to see Cormyr occupied for now. Lets them put their claws in deeper in Westgate.
Right. If Cormyr weren't occupied, they'd
have a thought or
have
two
words.
about, yeah. Under that, I should also remember to those two. Yeah. Smashing up there. Beyond that, Rosicatrix would hear, probably from Sethiston, that Sevrius has been flying across the swamp in the shadow, and now he can call upon storms that do not seem to affect him whenever he wishes. He is becoming a master of the air too. Adding to his titles. He is becoming the dread of all dragons, not just the Black Dread.
That's right.
Claiming that his title
Storms, the dread of all dragons.
shall be that his title shall one day be to rule all dragons as their
God
master.
King. Wait, that title's already taken.
Yeah, Anglesbach is he always tries to be reasonable, but he certainly also does wield a big stick.
Well, Severus doesn't try to be reasonable.
No. He takes too much delight in not being reasonable. Yeah, but it seems like he's beginning to be active again, having spent all this time mastering his new orb. Word is that he swallowed it. But he's clearly very excited about it, and certainly seems to have no interest in commanding the Cicatrix to do anything. Though that is for now. The Cicatrix has certainly shown that they are subservient, and also that they're skilled enough to get something like this, which of course tickles Sevrius as a greed.
Yeah.
That he could get more, better, maybe even bigger.
Maybe we'll invent another element for him to master.
You know, what other black dragon has he bullied around that's given him something like this?
Exactly. Who could, right? Maybe there is something about these dragons in the Southern Coast. Yeah, yes, he begins to think maybe, what if he branched out? What about non-black dragons? A novel concept, but why should the master of all colors, limit
Yeah,
himself?
Really? Okay.
Now that he rules Colmir to his mind, what's next?
He flew over like this swamp and he's like, no, yeah, I'm basically the king now.
It's just a formality to claim it at this point.
Yeah.
It's the
That's
same
not-
attitude I've been hearing from these other player character dragons this entire campaign. Go on, please.
Yeah. Like, this is basically mine. I just need to, technicality.
Yeah. Zambia continues to be held at bay, strong certainly, not in a weak state. They're dark shadow mages watching the coalition ships every now and then. There is the fear going on now. I don't know if your characters would hear this. Maybe Imagery would. I mean, if the harbor is still open to, well, actually, she also gets news from the Emerald Enclave. You can decide how you might come by that. But there's thoughts in Aglarond and nations across the Sea of Fallen Stars that this focus of all of them and their forces upon Sembia is letting Thay act a bit freely. Normally, this coalition has come together to stop Thayan expansion. Once to stop an invasion of like horde centaurs, but never really against Sembia. And their focus here for so many years and for so long is really, taking pressure off of Thay. And now that they see Thay here ostensibly helping, no one really believes that. It worries them. And there is some agitation, some hope, perhaps, that if the Radiant Host does well, this war could get bloody again, and maybe they could begin pushing Shar back.
So that
What's
they
to
can
stop it?
concentrate on the real enemy.
Yeah, what's to stop the Radiant Host from going after other creatures that would not enjoy the Radiant Host?
Most of the coalition's not worried about the Radiant Host. Yeah. But no, burn the darkness from the world. That is certainly their way of
And
doing
then burn the undead from the world.
it. Oh yeah, that too. All of it. All the evil.
Yeah.
All the wickedness.
Yes.
Justice and peace and salvation for all.
Yeah, that's what the Black Dragon likes. Justice and peace. That's right.
David.
Severus knows
Yes.
that he's immortal in his swamp. Nothing can harm him here.
Well, he does have a lot of Black Dragons to his.
Yeah, and he will
Well-
sacrifice every single one.
To be fair, none of them, like every one of them, will try not to do anything.
Yes. Yes, certainly.
Now, when you say he has a lot of black dragons, you mean
You're like the fucking worst servants.
It is an army of untrustworthy cowards. Which means that
Well, I didn't know that they were here. I was doing something else. Really, it was
certainly,
all the other Black Dragon's fault.
certainly very little usually gets done up there.
I've noticed.
Which leads us round to the Red Wizards of Thay. They have completed their Thayan Gate. They have amassed a large number of gnolls in Westgate and made an alliance with the Black Network and the Church of Bane. No one in this city currently, I mean, the nobility of Westgate has really sort of welcomed them, and a Thayan is an advisor to the Archon,
Fucking Remus Snake
to the
Dog.
Archon of Westgate, who is probably being paid nicely for the privilege, really. I mean, the nobility of Westgate has traditionally, there's 3 keeps in Westgate that are actually like decent fortresses, not massive, but certainly strong enough that no real gang can sort of take them. And they're kept by the nobles, who are generally just in the process of being bribed by every single gang in the city to look the other way, meaning that they mostly do nothing and get paid handsomely for the privilege. The Thayans seem to also enjoy continuing this tradition, paying the people there, paying the people on top, for them to just be okay with what's going on. That said, if they actually tried to create order in the city, probably wouldn't be so easy. Their benefit certainly is that they have connections, and that the gangs that they employ also, that employ them, I would almost say, also have a benefit in keeping them in their position.
Right.
Ostensibly, of course, you elect whoever leads the city, but
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't
what
actually
happens.
matter. Beyond that, well, the mark is looking south, but I figure eventually you'd find out about it anyway. The Thayans have sent a group of gnolls to occupy the remains of Redensir. And I really should have given them a different color from Malignity, otherwise that's gonna get confusing. Let's say Thay has a darker red here.
Yeah, I was about to say purple, and I was like, oh, right, okay.
Let's give them like this maroon, weird brownish color.
Crimson, burgundy,
There we
maroon.
go. There we go. As they have moved in to take that keep and begun quickly moving to repair the walls and otherwise sort of fortify it, feeling perhaps that they would like a stronghold that is not reliant on anyone else, and that is sort of free of the politics of Westgate. Who knows when the tide might turn? And having a keep with a Thayan gate at the basement, that seems like a good start.
Yeah, that seems like no. That seems like.
What are you gonna do about it?
So the lizard folk has been fucking moved.
I mean, it's like, yeah, last year this place was burned down. There's no claim to it. Who's going to stop a host to go in there and take it over? A red wizard leads them. There's lots of dead things to animate. Thayans delight in hanging out on other people's battlefields. It's like a gift basket. Keeps on giving.
Yeah, look at all these dead people here.
Look at nobody needs them.
Minions.
There's like ghosts and
At least it's a lot of undead scholars.
yeah, well, they're zombie and skeletal workers mostly, but for the most part they don't make fancy undead. Those are made at home. Yeah, as the Black Fleet will do it, it is being branded as humanitarian work to restore this bastion against the wild lands south, and maybe even restore trade, so the trade can safely move across the river and be brought into the civilized lands. The Thayans love expanding infrastructure for the good of the people of the Dragon Coast.
Yes.
They will peacefully rebuild the bridge that was destroyed, and caravans can flow freely. Yeah.
The Thayans are known for their free trade laws. They will allow you to trade anything, absolutely anything, because they do. There's a reason they still have enclaves around the world. That's because you can go there and you're under Thayan law. But that seems to be their current action. As they're currently unopposed, there's not really much to say about that. Setheston will report this as well, that it seems fine. Most people here do like trade, and having that up, really, no one else has sort of attempted to claim it or rebuild it. No one has the time or effort. Westgate certainly isn't gonna do it. The scholars were pretty much wiped out, and I mean, call me a mite if they weren't in their current situation. So, much like Ashroot, it's also likely it could just have stayed a ruin forever. Though it's not that ruined, really. Most of the keep was just more killing than actually ruining.
I do believe that Magnus was let loose on it after we had removed everything else.
Oh yeah, I mean, he burned it, but most of it's stone, made to be difficult to burn. The walls are certainly still there. Dan of Dan's host is happy to just be around. Really, they they control sort of these planes here, sort of sacrificing at the Shrine of Malar, going home to their outpost. Generally, when they meet on Emerald Enclave members, they will inform them of the lay of the lands, what's going on here, if they've seen anything. He tries to be in a friendly position with everyone else. At a rare time when he meets one of the marked, there will also just be you will politely stay out of the marked's way for the most part.
Yeah.
He is
So the best name.
he's happy to rule his planes. It is what he sort of got from his warring
He has
days.
survived all these decades by staying out of the way of dragons.
Being helpful in ways that don't cost him too much, and just allowing himself to grow rich to some degree. Though the lack of trade is a problem. He can't really purchase any of the things his tribe doesn't make itself. They've sort of, at this point, managed well enough to supply themselves with what they need. They've had a lifetime to strengthen themselves. Is happy to do their own imperialism elsewhere. Have the Red Banner host in Termish, still just working to secure things, though this whole conquest has left Anglispark with now an agitated army of mercenaries and centaurs and giants and such, and since he's sort of done conquering Termish, he's beginning to look for other targets, because you can't just have all these soldiers around. They make a lot of trouble when they're not fighting. And he doesn't actually want the Red Banner host to stay in his lands forever. They're sort of not... They don't fit into his perfect ideal of a militaristic, sort of orderly society. So, the Fire Giants, though, he can work with them. But word is that the many small dwarven holds in the Oshra Mountains might be besieged soon. There's quite a few of them, and he hasn't really bothered with them because they honestly are not really worth it. But it seems like a great place to send and get rid of some minions that are no longer needed.
Striking the well-fortified dwarves. That'll secure some losses.
Yeah. But that seems to be his current way forward. Centaurs into the mountains. What could go wrong?
It's gone well for them before.
Yeah. It is somewhat bringing him into a problem with the Fellowship of the Purple Staff, who some are being supplied with weapons and the like from the dwarven holds here, and is somewhat pushing on the border of where exactly Termish begins and where exactly Termish ends. Though so far it has not come to actual blows. There's a bit of contention over there, but what if he's done with the dwarves? Where will he go then? The old colonies? I mean, it's a lot of whataboutism, I suppose. The people of Termish would like someone to come and deal with him for them. But some people think it's also better just to have peace, even if he gets to rule. Peace for a price. Leading us to the Nathland forces here. They have sort of submerged into the mountains. I think, given their current stat line here, that's what they will continue to do. They're not really able to take back their city yet. But they still have one thing. There's a bit of money which could be utilized, which is what they will try to do, though not super effectively. They should also be a size small enough. They will try to establish connections to the Red Banner host. Red Banner host is mercenary. That's a good roll. As Lady of Darkness, Evil, Sorrow, Pain, that seems to be somewhat into what the Red Banner host does anyway, and if their current lord is going to send them into the mountains to fight fortified dwarves for little pay with the expectation that they will die there and they're thus no longer be a problem, maybe there's a better way to go about this. I think the Sparks certainly wouldn't be cry if they left on their own volition. They'll begin to look towards the. I think I'll move them over here. They're beginning to consider crossing these mountains. Maybe go work with these Netherlands, at least until the Netherlands sort of run out of money. Not that the Red House really need it, but their leader knows as well as anyone else that they have to do something. Otherwise, this whole thing collapses. Which brings us on to Netflix. But yeah, I mean the Verdant Eclipse is not going to do anything. The Emerald Enclave itself is certainly watching out and patrolling here, assisting currently. Somewhat wary of the Cinder Moon situation. Not many of the members are leaving, making it more possible to act. I think it is here. It's probably autumn, right? That we would have Rayros be ready, and probably Emissary has gotten her stuff at this point.
All right, good. With that in mind, it is with like the arrival of autumn that the Green Dragon returns after these seasons, since she departed for the Giants Run Mountains back to Nathlek. The first like extended like break she's had from the city after spending so many consecutive days in it since she took it.
How is it for her to be home compared to the pampering?
It's it's like a relief, but there's also when there was like the quiet moments where she thought to herself, am I really a predator? Now there's the quiet moments of, do I really have to leave them behind? They could just keep serving me, right? And then there's a no. It's the same sort of like nagging doubt that like creeps in just from an opposite direction. The carefree dragon can't make up her mind.
Yeah. It's her willpower is being tested, or maybe her belief even in what to do. It's just so nice and wonderful.
It is like,
But
like,
on the other hand,
they haven't like egregiously offended her, which means that like she would have to like come up with like some sort of like convincing reason for herself why to destroy this place, and they just haven't.
but Millar says that enjoying these things will make me weaker because I begin to rely on others to get my food and.
On the other hand, I'm a dragon, and that advice is for weaker creatures.
Surely. Doesn't count.
Yeah. And of course, like using the same rationalization of my life has been so hard being raised by a bone devil up to this point.
I deserve
That's right. I deserve
everything.
these wonderful things. Yeah, when she heads back, it's with a, all right, yeah, but she knows that she's here not to bask and laugh and, being like stroked and witnessed and fed. It's for seriousness. She glides down into Nathlek, and she immediately heads for the Jade Hall. And she is not looking to don her regalia. Instead, she is looking for the captain of the Dragon Cart, Shu Chang.
This camera over here then. Yeah. Well, I mean, they are pretty much where you would expect them. Shu Chang is leading the guard, who's sort of taken up. They're not the police. They don't actually have any power, so to speak, also any official power, right? But they sort of have taken it upon themselves to go around and be visible in small groups and just try to make the locals sort of feel somewhat at ease. It's been long enough now that the locals don't, these Malarites are not going to kill everyone and sort of purge that city, at least not at the moment. And yeah, the Dragon Guard has been further from the bridge than they have in many years, which is sort of their traditional place that they guard. Normally they would guard the sky district here, make sure that not too many foreigners ever get access.
There is no sort of hesitation. There's no like give someone an opportunity to get adjusted to the fact the green dragon is coming. It is a very swift, like almost like a power walk if a dragon can do that. Just like a not even like a gallop, just a rush to get really close in Shu Chang's like personal space.
Mm. Yeah. You know, there's a clear. She has her glaive, and there's a clear. This woman is a warrior, has been a warrior her whole life, and certainly her style is to stay a bit away from her opponent, to keep like a good distance between them, right? So the dragon moving up can certainly sense that she has this instinct to step back or ready herself or somehow. You know, it's terrifying. But she doesn't. She tries not to show it, right? A slight moment of just closing eyes up again. Don't flinch, right? Maybe sort of a bit of an unnatural stiffness as the dragon gets this close.
Yeah.
There's a. She believes she's not about to be eaten, but her physiology sort of disagrees with that assessment.
The dragon flashes her teeth, just like bares them wide in whatever sort of emotion that can be interpreted as by someone who's not a dragon. The dragon says, I have evaluated and considered the state and future of your people and culture, and I have decided that while you have satisfied the worm in me, you have not satisfied the predator. Therefore, because you chose personally to attract my attention, you will be tested to determine the fitness of your lady's capabilities and really all of your people to exist once I depart. In 1 day, we will be traveling to the heart of the shadow here in Nafla, and we will banish the undead and the plague of Shar that has consumed it. Make whatever preparations. Pray to whatever you worship. The fate of your people is in your hands. And she stalks away.
There's just a slight bit of quiet. That is quite a lot to take in. And then there will be a bow. You know, probably not going to say anything. She doesn't want her voice to betray anything that she might be feeling. But all right.
She will give this Shu Chang 1 10-day, and it'll also give like enough time like Varos, like, all right, in a 10-day, like
Yeah.
it'll be time for us to.
Yeah.
I'll be ready. I got my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it done then. And she'll like spend that time like scrutinizing like Naflek, you know, personally evaluating people, make sure that her minions haven't torched anything.
Yeah,
Untoward.
you know.
They bullied people, but you know. Hopefully
Yeah.
we can be out of this soon.
Yeah.
And if not, I mean, there's gonna be someone's gonna have to die if we have to keep staying here for much longer.
Yeah. I mean, you're taking Shu Cheng down into the dungeon here.
Yep.
So Ari, what do you feel about taking control of Shu Cheng in such a battle?
Sure.
Okay, so really, Nathland's future is on you. All right, I will.
The great and powerful and immensely intelligent and wise worm, and these are our leaders here, inform Shu Cheng that in a 10-day, she will be tasked with aiding the Green Dragon and in ridding this, her land, like this land, the light of shadow.
Hey, if it was gonna be any of the Shu people anyway, if we all know that there would be that one anyway. They like, even if you'd been like, yeah, find your best, whatever.
You have
Check it out.
you have a stat block here.
Yes.
You can spend a little bit of time familiarizing yourself with. It's NPC, luckily, so it doesn't have as many fancy things as a player character.
That's what the 10 days is going to be spent doing. What can I do?
Oh god.
What am I having to
Oh,
find
God.
shadows?
Oh my god.
Looks at her glaive, like
Let's see
thinks about
here.
what it would take to fight a shadow.
Control carry. Now you should have ownership of the token as well.
Man, every time I look at NPC HP, I'm like, God fucking damn
They
it,
don't have
man.
healing surges. They don't get to heal,
I
so
know.
all their healing is folded into
But I
unless
don't
you're
get to heal either unless I have a liquid with me.
their all their HP is folded into their stat block.
Ah, those defenses. Yeah. Ugh.
I can't see them because I don't have ownership
Yeah.
over it,
Yeah.
but I assume they look like, I don't know, brutish or soldierish, like that's what she comes across as.
AC, great, and the other ones, not so much.
I can share it with you too, Grimmeth, if you like. Yeah,
Sure.
that should be no issue there. I'll send you the stat block as well.
26, 40,
After all,
reflex 24.
you'll
will
have
be fine.
time to investigate what she could do as well.
Mhm.
And this is sort of going to be a little bit of a test, really, to see how well can an NPC elite fight alongside a dragon. Because honestly, it might be something we've talked about before, beginning to bring more the possibility of a dragon going to a fight that the other dragons are not really dedicated to, but maybe the dragon then sort of, or the other players getting to control some of that dragon's lieutenants or NPCs in some fashion. So let's see how fun it is. But
Like the way on this view.
Like
What?
you can if you open up the HTML in a browser, you should be able to use the zoom function of the browser, which is what I do. Like control and the minus and plus symbols allow me to zoom in using those hotkeys. Or of course, whatever functionality you would use for that.
Yeah.
Because it's not an image file, it's an HTML, so
Oh, there we go.
if necessary, I can just take a screenshot of it zoomed in and send it to
No, your control plus. I was like, oh yeah, that works. Good. I take technology much.
Alright. Yeah. So, we'll go over some of this stuff, out of character, that makes sense. You're an elite controller. You have dark vision, that does sound like it would be
Yeah,
handy.
that does seem inconvenient,
Yeah, although I don't think you'll have to worry about lighting too much, given, who we're going to be alongside. Let's see here, you got +2 to saving throws, you get an action point, your speed 7. Nice, I like that.
Yeah.
she's very
Yeah,
quick.
you've got double my hit points.
I know. But look at those. I'm sure the Altar of Shore is not gonna fucking attack her AC.
There we go. For the backup that I'm doing, I can make it so that the stat block appears on the screen for the viewers. Hot damn. But that's the kind of professionalism I bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, controller. Your +2 saving throws. You can use sweep as a reaction. Alright. When an enemy stands up within 2 squares of you. So that's like an opportunity? That's like your opportunity action, then?
Yeah, reaction.
Alright.
Stay down.
Well, I was asking because reactions aren't,
Not really
another
a
for you.
thing.
Yeah. Your standard action, it's the attack to make someone fall prone. You have a close burst encounter. Close burst 2, all enemies. So it's a friendly burst against reflex. You have an at will, melee 2 against a prone enemy to weaken them. And then you have an encounter to slide someone 3 squares, even if you miss. And then an encounter immediate interrupt when someone moves next to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Your bloodied is is 1 point less than my max. Oh shit. Alright.
It's very cool. It is like, this is not a scrub.
You better not be because
As the dragon is like, hey, lady, better fucking put me in work.
You get
Yeah,
a
but-
different world where you get a level 14 minion. As a plus 15 to hit for 8 damage.
yeah, because it's not like it's not like Amusari Leaders here was going to be gentle or sweet towards these people anymore. No, they have satisfied their ego, but they need to prove themselves to the predator. I think the dragon leaves Chucheng alone for the 10-day, allowing her to do whatever prayers or preparations or meditations or
You can find your
consultations.
family.
Yeah,
Oh.
like raid like weapon stores, find the best glaive. Who knows, right?
She has the best claim.
Yes.
Yeah, or if you're interested, you can double click. I put the little thing I've written for just what I have for personality in there. So you can look at that if you want to portray her in some way.
Consider properties to PC like that so that her stat block can show up whenever we mouse over it.
Doing switches, nothing out of nothing.
Dun,
Beautiful.
dun, dun.
Beautiful doing switches. All right.
Her fortitude, reflex, and will are different than what's shown on the stat block.
What?
Yeah. On the HTM that you sent, it's 26, 24, 25. On her token, it's 25, 28, 30.
Oh, they've been switched around. Yeah, I usually do some fixes due to the
Okay.
macro I used to import them from the HTML not being working out super well
Okay.
all the time. Let me just.
I mean, they're
see.
mostly in her favor, but I figured I'd note that
Hey,
difference.
you know what? It's alright. Like, I'll take 30, you know.
4 times 25. 5, 28, 30. I don't know. Let's use the token. I'm sure there's been some.
Alright.
Maybe I've done a math error or something.
Yeah,
I don't
you'll
know.
have to take that fortitude hit, damn. Alright. When the 10-day passes, though, the dragon, who's carrying like she's got a sort of like a thong around her neck that has like the portable hole like attached to it. She also has like a small satchel. She goes back into the Jade Hall, and she goes hunting for Chucheng again. So like without like a preamble, she will like pick up the woman and begin like hoisting her and slowly carry her out to then fly her to the site.
And the
like,
site
in her
is.
claws.
Yes.
And the site is easy enough to find this time, because there is you know the sort of clay bits that were smashed and broken to cover it have been removed, and instead around that the sort of hole or entryway down to below is a glittering white golden flame burning continuously, fighting back the darkness. And along it sits the person who has created it.
The green dragon flies a bit slower than what she could normally go at A, because she knows she's gonna have to fly herself soon, and B, she's carrying someone. But she reaches the site and then like sits down and gently like sets the woman down beside her. Although she tries not to. She's trying to keep her own composure at the sight of like. There's a lot to take in here.
Yeah. The green eyes of the dragon, lands on the green dragon, and gives a slight nod towards the entrance. Says, the fire will not harm you. I will enter first and begin to cleanse it. Then they will attempt to interrupt. I will shield you from most of the darkness down there. The things that drain your strength, take the life out of anything.
Like slowly nods and looks towards Chu Chang and says, Chu Chang, for you. And reaching into the satchel, Emizure Lidrathier pulls out Grimmeth. Now, like, frowns deeply as he somehow managed to close this. Here we go. Let me go ahead and put this image in the group chat. 2 fist-sized stones, which glow faintly. And she will explain their properties. These are glowstones. They radiate dim light in a 2-square radius, and they can be consumed as a standard action to create a zone of bright illumination in an area burst to within 5 squares of you. Which causes any undead that's vulnerable to radiant damage that enters that zone or starts in that zone to be affected as if it had taken radiant damage. So if something has like vulnerable like radiant 5, they would take 5 damage.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Shang bow deeply. Thank you for this great gift.
Dragon says, there is a primary target I'm hunting in here. But there will undoubtedly be other things that try to disrupt the ritual. That falls upon you.
I'm not.
That, like, the green dragon, like, pivots and looks towards, like, the entryway that's been dug out again.
Yeah. Well, the Gildenfire will take a deep sort of breath, a crackling flame inside it, and then we'll dive down into it.
Yeah. These are like, you're like inhales deeply. Having to follow this dragon. Ugh. Dragon's big.
Oh yeah.
What the hell?
He's big enough that he actually looks old.
Yeah. Yeah, what the hell, man? There's just supposed to be Varrock here, and she like feels like really young, and the dragon knows that. And now, like, word's gonna get around it, like she cares about things.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's gonna go forward, moving up towards the altar, where shadow and light begin to battle. As Skillfire basically starts by just breathing his breath weapon onto this shrine, setting the stone on fire. This crackling Gildan fire that really has given him his nickname. It is a mighty heat that bellows from it, but somehow it doesn't hurt you. It hurts all, well, whatever is within the altar, as the shadows upon it begin to twist and move, almost like a worm or some sort of long, thin shadow dragon living within the stone of this place. It begins to fight him back, and, well, he can probably do it, at least if he can just focus. As from the corners, the many other things that are in this room begin to quickly move to stop this, because they too sense what is going on. And we will just go into initiative here. It's important. If they can do it or not.
Error trace initiative, my God, I'm getting an error trying to roll my initiative. I don't
What?
understand.
Error.
Yeah.
Oh, you're allowed to edit it again. They have it all the time.
Oh,
There we go.
it's because like this token is different than
Yeah.
Alright, that would be why. Hold on. I'll just delete this.
Yeah,
Reality.
I'll rule for Shucheng here.
I will,
Yeah, it's
I
not
will.
that I can't, so
Mhm.
you're gonna have to.
You have an NPC macro.
There we go.
There we go. Good. Now we
Man.
can sort. The Shrine of Shadow would normally have a bunch of stuff it does, 2 initiative counts and whatnot, but it and the dragon here are just gonna be against their own thing. You know,
What flavor of dragon is that?
that is a gold dragon.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yet another reason.
Mhm.
It's almost like she's had prior experience with like really old, wicked, elder like gold dragons before.
Yeah.
Too much.
Well, it actually looks like they might be the same one.
I mean,
I say,
they're all the same, right? Just,
Not that she had a long conversation or anything.
yeah.
Yeah. The first thing is that the shadow begins to move, and now given that the big fire here is on. Also, I assumed you have activated your glowstone.
well, I think it's an area, right?
So like, it's something that you would like you would like use it as a standard action. It would create
Yeah.
an area burst 2 within
Ah,
5 squares.
yeah,
of
okay,
you.
I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, this one doesn't have enough movement. It does just have enough to get there. As one of these, I'm just gonna have a little bit more here. One of these shadows, really what seems to be sort of the remains of people, or rather, all the remains of their happiness that has been twisted and turned into whatever this is. It will strike at you, trying to regain some of that what they lost. Reaching out to
That
touch
is-
Uzure. They sort of have a weird tangibility in it. They're not insubstantial. They almost have a body. So they move, trying to weaken you, for others to take advantage.
No. Indeed not.
What can be there? Shucheng.
Sorry, I'm trying to make it so that I can prevent my own defenses.
You can't? Oh,
Well, that's because your properties got changed from NPC back to or PC back to NPC.
if you
There we go.
unselect your token, okay. That should do it.
All right. I mean, you made it clear that she had to deal with this shit. Wait, she can attack. She can actually attack from here, can't she?
It's range 2, yeah.
Yeah, melee. God,
Okay.
that's incredible.
Now I'll tell you
You're
these.
showing a breach.
I'll tell you these things. They hover for the most part, but they can still be knocked unconscious. Well, not conscious, no, prone. Not that they need to. Sweeps through it,
Aha.
dissipated. Husky breath.
I think he'll move here to sort of stand protectively guard.
Sure. Then one will come to attack.
Aha.
Miss. From behind the altar, a hissing, voidless sound, wordless sound comes. Much like an inhaled breath, drawing in to some icy hole below a mask of shadow. An aura of cold spills into the room as the shadows begin to even cross across Kilkenfires here. Certainly the dragon is big and powerful. He is not a being of pure light, and this is a being of pure shadow. As it steps out from behind the altar. and we'll look around. It has an aura of 5. Frankly, it means that no one's within it, but it also has to move, which restricts movement. It is fast, stepping long strides, looking like a giant, but gaunt, thin, and made entirely of some sort of black stuff, while eyes that hurt to look inside.
Weird Slender Man.
So we'll move forward, seeing a dragon here. Stepping here, attacking over these two littler ones. While within 5, I should say, a 5 of the Nightwalker, you take 5 cold and necrotic damage. So that is not 5 of each, but 2 different types.
Reminds me, I should have deducted my 2 healing surges.
While
60.
you're here. As it will reach out just to touch Emissary.
That will hit.
Alright.
Uh,
And 14 damage plus 10 cold necrotic.
which would be a problem if beforehand I had not consumed among those preparations, which would be why I'm missing the 2 healing surges, the Crypt Spawn Potion, as well as the Potion of Resistance Cold.
Yeah.
The Crypt Spawn Potion, which was one of the items I thought we talked about, you consume that, spend a healing surge, you don't regain hit points as normal, so you have resistance 10 necrotic and resistance 10 poison. And then the Potion of Resistance Cold, which you said Bob would perfectly have fine stacking with, would be champion tier, and that would provide resistance 10 cold.
Yeah.
So she's got resist 10 necrotic, resist 10 poison, resist 10 cold, which I will mark on the token. However, that 14 damage still very much applies.
Mhm.
I will get with you in an immediate action. Use your words, Griffith. Immediate reaction. As soon as I jot this down. Necrotic, cold, poison. Why am I writing down that I have resistance 10 poison? You're an idiot. How do you not understand your own dragon's mechanics? Okay. That's 1 minus 14, please, Griffith.
It's not a type we get to face with your voice.
Yeah, with my
Uh,
immunity to it, and as an immediate reaction, I do have a persistent carrier attack,
Ooh.
as the green dragon tries to reach through space and time to attack the Nightwalker.
Yeah, there's the long, thin hands that's striking. The cold and necrotic of the shadows are being blown away, but still there's something solid behind it. And then, Emissary, I suppose, I mean, you hit with that. Yeah.
Yes. Now, it's not just like her normal hit, as we cut to like the scene of her lair, and instead of the normal weapon that she uses, it's the glow, the radiant glow of energy from the Crusader's weapon +2. One of the default properties of that is that half the damage she deals with this weapon is radiant damage. That's 10 untyped damage and 10 radiant.
Hmm.
She teleports. Say, just be adjacent, so we'll say here.
And as the radiant hits it, it is certainly weak to radiant. Light is its antithesis. So that 20 damage becomes 40 damage. So it gets struck by radiance. As its form blurs and twists away from the light. Does not like it. All right. Emissary, you're within its aura, but you have too many resistances for it to bother you.
Yeah, it's almost as if Imi's early leader asked Veros what the hell is a Nightwalker.
Yeah.
Veros told her what the hell a Nightwalker was, and then spent thousands of gold pieces to deal with that. Okay.
I mean, it's surprised of her, possibly
Yeah.
not dying.
She considers like breathing poison, but then she remembers like, right, Veros told me I can't do that. Damn.
Yeah, they don't really care. They're undead.
It's all, yeah, these undead, they don't care about poison. That's nonsense. Okay. A standard action, I think, is going to be used on a close blast, 3 each visible enemy. Like, I think we're gonna neglect the Nightwalker for now. as she looks to clear out these rays and just has positioned herself in such a way that she can't hit the Nightwalker as well. I can't do that.
I mean, I'm thinking about on my turn throwing one of the glow things on
Yeah.
Nightwalk with one and like hitting them all.
That is a good idea, especially if I end up missing, because yours is not an attack roll.
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't damage you. So.
Yep, that'll be a 2 power point. What attack is that? That is a Bull's Strength attack
Oh,
against Shadow Wraith 6, Shadow Wraith 1, and the Nightwalker.
in that order.
27, 35, and 34 versus armor class.
That's a miss, a hit, and just a hit.
That'll be 7 untyped damage and 7 radiant.
And then 7 radiant.
Targets that are hit pushed 1 square. It's like the power of the psionic wind slashes into the shadows as much as they can, but they're not like fully solid creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it stumbles backwards and almost hits into Gildenfire. I was just sort of again concentrating on getting sure this shrine is well. The shrine is really like you can almost see tendrils of shadow like trying to reach out to the rest of you with whatever things it can do, but it's being taken care of.
As a minor action, I will mark the Nightwalker. As a move action, because the Wraiths are not adjacent to any other creatures except for me, that means I have combat advantage, which means I can move freely without provoking opportunity attacks, as the dragon moves to stay here.
Right.
So, that'll be the end of my turn.
Sure. Here, this wraith moves down. Attacks. Top of the round, the reinforcements arrive. Very quick, certainly, and well, from invisibility, they will appear to strike. They seem to come from this tunnel. They will appear as they attack with advantage. With a shadow staff. The Master of the Dark Moon. Swinging and missing, as it seems like they're almost clouded in sort of a liquid shadow, an oil that seems to stain whatever it touches. The shadow one is maybe unfortunate that they didn't hit. But this guy doesn't quite make it. Wraith here, down to and attacking to deliver that vulnerability. Right. There. This Wraith also just follows.
And will also miss.
Shu Chang.
Stuff happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Entirely silent. A monk of the Dark Moon. No sound escapes. Barely any sight.
It's difficult for you to use your immediate interrupt when they move adjacent to you and you can't see them.
Yeah. I mean, so see, the question is always like, where are the will they keep coming from the corridors, or like are they just?
They might very well. Like, if you were to do like an area burst 2 within 5, like you could easily like say, like shift back.
Yeah.
You could throw that there, or you could even like throw it like the one space back that you mentioned, like here, or rather you'd want to do it where you're actually pointing.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's
We
where
actually
I'm gonna
make that
throw
a
the,
beautiful view.
yes, thank you.
Yes. glowstone. Consume standard action. You don't even have to throw it, but it's a cool, flashy effect. Creates a zone of bright illumination. Any undead creature that is vulnerable to radiant damage that enters or starts its turn within the zone is affected as if it had taken radiant damage. And it remains until the end of the encounter or 5 minutes, whichever comes first.
All right. Now it normally says start at the turn here, but I think it's more if we just deal it to them immediately. So we'll have the two wraiths here being blasted from the light. And these Masters of the Dark Moon, they're people, followers of Shar, of their elusive order. They're not weak to radiant, but I will have them become visible as for the moment you blast away their shadows. They seem to work perfectly fine running on walls as well as these two are showing. Basically, attempting to move, they have moved along the ceiling and dropped down to get you.
Oh, cool. Why there are enemies again?
Well, they're Shu-Chang's enemy, not yours.
I think Shang's like go wide, like she's like throws that, and there's like the bright light, right? And she sees the like shadows disappear, like be scorched away, and there's just this enemy, and then suddenly like the eyes just go wide as 3 more just appear. Okay, well, I have nothing to use my minor action for, so that's spent, looking at those enemies. Doing great.
Nightwalker. I will strike at Misery first.
That will miss the powerful green dragon.
No. Well, so be it. As it will direct its void gaze as a minor action to Misery. Sort of against the wall there. For a close blast 5 versus Will.
Yeah, the close blast 5 versus Will definitely hits.
As there's these blue eyes are not actually blue, they're just a rim of shadow leading into sort of a nothingness, as if nothing could have a color, driving Misery back almost as a reaction to not be drained into it. And, beginning to unmake.
Yeah. She takes 1 point of damage, slammed against the wall, takes -2 penalty, all defensive save ends. Green Dragon has been moved like this. Like, this reminds her of, like, ogres. They're grand slams. This is...
It will continue to step up, pushing into a corner.
She's supposed to be the biggest creature here. The damn Green Dragon that prepared the ritual book is making it look bad.
Usually people try to move away from her.
Yeah.
This guy pushed her and moved to her. Like,
you know what? If he's early, that's fine. You know, like she's slammed against, like, this wall. It probably doesn't feel great, as cold and slick as everything else in here.
like little clammy shadow hands starting to grab at her.
You know, if this worked on an Aboleth, if this worked on, like, some sort of vampire serpent, and this has never missed at all over the course of this campaign.
There we go.
The psionic energy, like, wreathe around, like a Misery Leader Fear, as she lashes out towards the Nightwalker, roaring in defiance, attempting to use her Mind Blade power upon it. 41 versus Will.
I mean, it's hard to miss with that kind of roll. Yeah, he strikes it, and I think it falling unconscious is more sort of a, like, it's almost as if its gaze turns inwards, right? It just sort of stands there twisting, and like, as her psionic energy basically smashes it to be unable to do anything. It's she locks it out of the world for a bit.
I will use my action point. As she uses her action point, she becomes insubstantial and phasing until the start of her next turn. A translucent sort of like mist. Her body sort of decorporealizes. With this action point, I will now look at this unconscious and helpless enemy in front of me.
Also, it's prone.
Yeah, it's prone. I can deliver a coup de grace attack against a helpless enemy adjacent to me. Use any attack power I can normally use with the enemy, including a basic attack. This will be with a +7 to hit. In any hit, will score a critical hit.
Oh boy.
1 power point, Brutal Barrage. That'll take me to 8 out of 11 power points. That'll be a 47, 38, 46, and 39 versus armor
It's
class.
all hits.
Okay, so that's going to be 4 instances of 4 untyped damage, and then 4 instances of 12 radiant damage. And then instead of the 3d8 per crit, this weapon's a Crusader's weapon plus 2, so it's 2d10. So that's 16 plus 12 plus 8d10, 70 points of damage combined with the untyped and radiant through those 4
Yes.
separate hits.
So every time he takes radiant damage, he takes 20 extra radiant damage. He has one of the highest
Yeah.
possible vulnerabilities in the game.
That's going to be 150 combined
As
damage.
the light just blasts into this thing.
The Crusader's weapon like glows with like fury back in her horde at the Grand Temple of Malar.
Yeah, hissing
She
and
begins
boiling.
to tear into the creature of shadow.
It's like on a pedestal or something,
Yes.
being
It's been like
displayed.
venerated and elevated, you know, on like an altar made of like wood that was struck down by lightning and so was
Yeah.
never charged. Just be prepared. And so Veros warned her of this, and she figured to herself, this is a good investment. Because like their Thayans are undead, and she has to keep dealing with them.
Did
So
you buy it for this?
she specifically spent the money for all
Okay, I was
these
gonna
things.
say, or did you have to like fucking through
No, like-
all fucking piles of
like-
things and like, oh, where are the
No,
where
like-
I know
well,
I had it. Fuck.
You know, like I didn't
Okay.
even like attempt to bully Nathland for like resources for any of this. This all came out of her horde.
Yeah. That's
Jesus.
real dedication. Like,
The potions, the glowstones, this weapon, other stuff too. Yeah, this gold dragon has done so much for her. She expected Veros here, but damn it, she is not going to be humiliated. Like she will
Yeah.
not show weakness here. The predator is still alive and well.
I mean,
That's
same
my-
goes for this gold dragon being here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my 2 standard actions. A minor action is going to be used to give herself 10 temporary hit points, and we're going to convert the move into a minor because she doesn't know what else might, you know, like horrible like tentacle things can like come out of the walls and like try to lash her in, and she will not be denied. She cannot be slowed, immobilized, or restrained until the end of this encounter.
Oh,
That will be the end of her turn.
yeah,
I will make a saving throw against the -2 penalty to defenses. And ice passive.
it's good. It's a good turn.
Yeah.
This master is not too happy with being revealed. Part of their thing is not being revealed. That's what they do. We'll move forward now to engage.
And can I still see him?
If you can see him, you
I
can see
think-
him.
I'll use my action.
Your immediate interrupt, your
Yeah.
lung traditions.
Yeah.
Enemy moves adjacent to you. You can make a sweep attack. If it hits, you can also shift a square. Yeah, that's. They are not
Oh.
actually that fortitude strong. As he takes damage, falls prone.
Would I will I still be able to hit them even if I move too far away from the lighting thing? Or
Yeah,
see
they,
them.
no, them being invisible is the thing they have to do. They have to cloak themselves in shadow.
okay.
They are constantly like covered in it, but sort of to disappear entirely, that's something they have to actively do.
Okay.
They're not automatically invisible. Great as that would be for them.
Wait,
Yeah, basically as he rushes forward, swinging the shadow staff, just gets a glaive swung and knocks him back
Knocks the legs out from beneath it.
by the master guard.
not a good look for like a shadow Kurmak.
It isn't, no. but you will not live to tell.
Yeah, you're not allowed to leave here alive now and report on that.
Yeah.
This one will see that being a problem, and will instead use the Shadow Jaunt power. I think we can do as a move action here. Teleport 3 out of the shadow and be insubstantial.
Gross. They can become insubstantial too. Unacceptable.
As he is,
And they have a lot of in common, I suppose.
as he appears,
Well, they take half damage for attacks.
as he appears, and will swing the shadow staff.
Oh,
No.
I want to shroud you in gloom.
I
why
don't want
won't
to
you
be proud
accept the gloom? Accept the
like,
gloom.
Yeah. There's an
Look, I've
issue
been
with
here
this.
for a while.
Who's here?
Like,
Do you want to do the thing, or do you not want to do the thing?
I mean, I can do it once, right? It's a
It's an
counterpart.
Yes.
Counterpower.
okay. You're right. All right. You will swing
would love-
staff,
Ooh,
striking for 16, and shrouded in gloom. As such, I will give you a halo of black. As basically some of the shadow, as he strikes, some of the shadows begin to cling. Not acting like normal shadows should. This wraith here moves down. Attacks.
Fails.
They don't seem intelligent. They just seem to go for whatever's closest, really.
The craving of the warmth of life.
This master will take a double move over here. Try to maybe not have this Night Walker be humiliated as it's currently being. Whatever's happening to it. This one will attack.
That will fail.
Chain.
What does it mean to be covered in gloom?
What does it mean to be covered in gloom? Well, while shrouded in gloom, you take -2 to attack rolls and gain 1.5 benefit of healing. It's a common Shar worshipper sort of thing. Beyond that, these monks will be able to do things to you by attacking you with the shadows that's on your body instead of with their staffs.
yeah, I don't like that very much.
Yeah.
I feel like as well. I think it's time to use for other encounter power. 'cause why
Close the
not?
circle.
Yeah.
That'll be against the top one. That is a hit. And another hit. And a miss. Alright, so that'll be 24 damage to two of them. Well, top one here takes 12 because he's insubstantial. 4. And they are pushed
three
3
squares.
squares and knocked prone.
And
Pushed, of course, is as far away as possible. As spin knockback.
and I mean, I don't know that I can like I don't know that if there's any better time to action points. Should I throw a glow orb over in your?
Like you could like action point, like you can then like use like your move action to like move over, and you can throw that like 5 spaces. So
Yeah.
I mean, like if you move that 2 there, you'd be able to get that off.
Here.
Okay, 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. Like you could do that there, but you could also like move that further away from the wall, like so.
It's bringing light in here.
Yeah, I think that's what you're gonna do. Is we're gonna spend the action point for another
Makes sense.
bow.
Remember to remove the action point from the token. Well, then we will just get rid of these two. As they burn up in
You
the,
gotta
in the
prove
radiance.
herself to this dragon, you know?
And immediately the Nightwalker at the start of its turn will take 20 damage. As it sizzles and is now bloodied. So beyond that, there's a saving throw.
I need
Yeah.
to do a saving
Yeah.
throw.
You sure do. Remember your +2 bonus on saves.
Ew.
And it
Ah,
takes some
Yeah.
damage, I believe.
Wait. Okay, yeah, that is still gloomy.
After effect, 17 psychic damage.
yep, 17 psychic damage. Which, I need to check to like make sure. Like, I need to know specifically whether that's a weapon power for you.
Mhm.
Since half of that would just end up being like psychic and radiant. One moment. I did not.
Mind blade.
I didn't consider when I pulled out the mind. Like,
Whether or not you're
like,
hitting
that's
it with
always
a,
not something
are you
I've
hitting their
preferred.
mind with a hammer or just sort of with a, mental hammer?
Yeah. See, it's a that.
Still prone though, as it begins to manifest up.
Mind Blade. It is a weapon power.
All right. So that is also 20 more damage.
Like my squared mage bullshit.
Man,
using
that-
swords implement.
So much damage. Just 20 extra damage every time. That is that's rough.
Yeah, like Veros told me it was weak. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
realize it was Radiant 20 weak. Like,
No, it is
That is-
made from shadow.
yeah.
There's a reason the
Yeah.
Radiant host has a chance.
Yeah, like, she. No, they absolutely do.
Hmm.
Almost like historically in lore, like, Netheril didn't win this one. Missouri Legis here, like, inhales, like, deeply of the light, like, sees that this Nightwalker is moving around down there. Doesn't, like, she asks Veros to, like, get a sense of, like, how it is they operate, but she doesn't know. Like, this isn't, like, a natural thing. She can't just look at this and say, like, yeah, I know how you live and breathe. But it's down there in front of her. I think she is going to single power point Brutal Barrage again, utilizing the power of her combat advantage, which she'd have anyway because the Nightwalker's out here alone.
Mhm.
That'll be a 35, 33, 37, and 29 versus.
That is 2 hits.
Okay. As it turns out, she deals damage on misses anyway.
It's true.
So that'll be 16 untyped damage and 12 radiant damage, and it's already prone, so that's not an issue.
That's 28 total and 2 instances of 4 instances.
It'd be 4 instances.
Yeah. All right, great. That's another
'Cause
80
it's
damage.
4 separate instances of damage, yeah. Like, I'm not trying to cheat the Nightwalker.
No, no.
which is my understanding
Like,
of-
this is what preparation does.
Like,
Yeah,
her
as it
whole body is
twists,
like with
just
tail and teeth and wings just slams down.
being scorched.
Move action is going to be to, she has combat advantage. She will move like so. And as a minor action, I will use Battle Mime's Demand again, this time marking that Nightwalker and this Shadow Monk.
All right.
That'll be the end of my turn.
This monk will have to stand up. Not really a satisfying way to spend your time, but what are you gonna do? Sort of step over here. Just try to. This one will stand up and charge. You are shrouded in shadow. There is not a basic attack. This is a basic. So you'll have to still use the shadow staff. Swinging. Shoot chain again.
Carrying it with my awesome blade.
This one will stand up. They should brought some like throwing stars or something. This one will shift over here and thus flank the dragon.
She teleports.
It's unforeseen. Right. A strike with the staff though.
No, does not hit the powerful dragon.
Striking against the scales that just
They're too tough.
glance down to wooden stick. Back up.
Like, dragon, like, use a free action to snort derisively.
Chang, you're within the aura and will thus take the damage of the chill for 5 damage.
Yeah. No prone targets, which, it's always sad.
Well, there is technically a prone target.
Oh. Well, she was specifically told to deal with everything else.
Yes, that is a dragon's recommendation. Whether Shu Chang would want to, like, try and go for glory here.
And see, those are the very much, I'm like, I mean, I want to, but,
Do it.
because
You're
her
you're
damage is my
empowered.
fucking spike. but that's not what this woman's about. You know. But what she will do, because she is tasked with the responsibility of not just her own life, her own life, that's all good and well, but for her people's. Really, all she can do is trust that this dragon will, honor the sentiment, and she will use her melee to attack the master of the dark or throw it.
She'll have to shift one
3 away
closer.
from you.
Oh,
You'd have
well,
to shift.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a hit. Knocking it in prone.
Yeah.
Right, the Nightwalker. We'll stand up. And, we'll try to get this damn dragon.
It'll take 20 radiant damage because it's starting its turn within this aura.
Unpleasant. Burns.
And that will miss.
And an action point to do it again.
Yeah, even with my hit against it previously, that does it.
14 damage. As
13 damage.
as it connects, but the magic in you're imbued in your scales from the ointments, you're just
Yeah.
throwing it away.
Lose the temporary HP. I'm at 135 now.
Yeah.
I guess plus, like, 1 cold necrotic.
Yeah, that is 11 cold necrotic damage. I would absolutely take one.
Ah! Oh!
Good call. You got me. You got me, Eric. You did it.
It's just like...
How does it feel?
little... Ah! No! Oh, it burns! Burns us.
Misery.
Alright. Misery Leaders here, like, squints, like, looking at the mob of, like, these lesser, like, forms around Shu Chang. She has other concerns. Cannot let go. Rears back her body, expends another 2 power points. Must beat this thing into dust. Brutal Barrage.
Oh, wait, I forgot to save.
And, I do have combat
It'll be
advantage.
all
So
hit.
that'll be, yep. That's actually 1 crit as well, 'cause that's a natural 20 down there. So that's, your 16 standard damage, your 12 radiant damage, it goes prone, and another 2d10 radiant damage from the crit. So that's 37 plus 80 for 117 points of damage.
Is the assault of radiant claws, right? Maybe even mirroring a little bit the gold dragon's sort of way of doing things. It's just light is everywhere.
Power of, like, light and
Blessed.
holy energy. Blessed by Malar.
Yeah.
That's how he does
The
things.
Nightwalker never getting to show what it actually sort of is most scary about it. Let's put this power here to see what could have happened, right? If anyone had become bloodied, then it has things it can do. But yeah, it is.
What the
Yeah, like, Veros, I'll say this here, Veros told me that these things can, like, raise Bodax and shit, and I was like, that sounds bad.
Oh yeah, no, they're
And
really
normally
powerful.
they can only do that in the Shadowfell, but this might count, and that sounded bad. Which is why I didn't want to bring any humans down here, but here we are.
Yes, it is. As it dissipated, just the assault of light, making it unable to really stay in this realm, as it is bashed back to the shadow from whence it came. It is a being formed from the sort of essence, the stuff of the Shadowfell, and it is thrown back there.
Because here moves without provoking. And she has combat advantage over that. And she moves over like so. Be adjacent to Shu Chang. Now adjacent to these two. I will use a minor action. She'll test out here as she breathes for dragon breath. Like so. To cover these two in poison. Because if they're not undead,
They're not.
35 versus reflex for 16 points of damage.
That hits. He is susceptible.
Dragon lashing
Because
out.
there's like the moment where the dragon comes up and she like hears behind her the like
Just
and there's like a weird like acceptance almost like well now or never and it's like it flies past her like clearly like intended and it's like new call.
Mhm.
Yes,
Alright,
she has
that's the end.
dragon on her side.
That's the end of my turn.
Yeah. Shift up here.
Okay.
Gain the flank, and then swing this. Oh,
Yeah. Dragon laughs as it swats the staff aside.
strikes. They're fanatics. Like there's no doubt in their hearts. But still, seeing what the dragon has done, this fight is. They would have to defeat these two intruders and then interrupt the gold dragon, and then have to deal with that too. So even to their minds, this is probably going to be a lost fight. But doesn't stop them from fighting.
Right. Shar's watching them. They
Oh
can't
yeah,
just give
there's
up.
there's no place to go.
She's not a
Sure.
very forgiving. She literally is about not forgiving
Use
anything.
the shade strike upon Shu Chang.
Remember you get plus from your crowd thing. Don't know how much that is.
That's a you do get a minus. To remind you
Yeah,
that.
it's a penalty to your
Oh, okay.
attack rolls.
Yeah, and then
Well, they would attack me with their.
They are using a different power. It still does.
shade strike.
Well, luckily,
Steps over here, and we'll swing a staff at the dragon.
That will hit the dragon.
11 damage, shrouded in gloom.
Okay, takes me to 123 HP. Yes, 123 HP. And I will get the halo. I will let you bestow the halo upon me, God. I permit this.
It makes no difference to
can't
you.
see it.
Yeah. Move my tokens forward.
We'll trust it.
You don't see that line there. It's obvious.
And this one will, stand up. Jump up, and then we'll use the shade strike. Probably sort of advantage.
Vision clouded, but dragon is still unaffected by that shade strike.
Chang.
Yes. All right. Great choices. So if it's not specified that it's melee too, it's just normal like melee range, right?
They get your sidestep assault.
That would be no flank.
I was like, why can't I see? Because I'm on the wrong map tools. There we go. That is just a hit. But you're shrouded in gloom, so that would be a miss.
Well, can't do much about that.
There's still an effect though, so you can slide. You tell me where you want him. Slide
Keep it
means you
adjacent to me, but you can remove it from its flank position.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3. Yeah,
Yeah, you could put it up here.
it's gonna be up here. Yeah.
It's just like it's forced to
Wheels it around the dragon.
retreat back.
I mean, that's like a hockey move almost, with the glaive just like moving it around. In another universe, bright future. That's it.
Let's see the save.
Man, I don't trust this macro.
You have a +2 to saving throws. I don't know what.
That's
that
in the
trigger-
macro, yeah.
Oh, damn.
At least it should be.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I
I can see
considered
it.
rolling T20 instead, because this is.
Illusory leader here, light and darkness swirling around her vision, just sneers. Not terribly concerned by these monks. She's seen enough of them since she was a wormling. She's not afraid. Psionic power once again roils through her. This will be a close burst 1 against each visible enemy. So not Shu Chang, as she does not consider Shu Chang to be an enemy at this time.
Yeah.
So Master 4, Master 2, Master 3, with a -2 penalty on each attack. Eco Crush attack, yes. With 3 targets. That'll be 28, 34, and 33 versus armor class.
It's all hits.
All right. 14 untyped damage, 14 radiant. I know they're not weak to that. And they cannot get combat advantage until the end of my next turn.
Oh.
Yeah.
All
Takes me
right.
down to 2 power points. Move action and minor action. I think she's good where she is. That'll be the end of my turn.
Saving throw.
I do get one of those, so I hear. I have failed that.
All right. Then
I don't know,
it'll
man.
be a shade strike. Oh.
Yeah.
As they try to probably like the piercing shadows trying to find some way through the armored layer of scales. So this guy will step forward and try to use the shade strike on Shucheng instead. No, that is a crit, in fact. So that will be 22 necrotic damage and
And you're
blinded.
blinded.
Save ends. Which means you cannot see them, which is their greatest strength. Meaning this guy will actually use his Shadow Jaunt to jump over here. And then do a Shade Strike as well. And with, I can't even get advantage. He tries to strike his blinded foe. This guy, will just make a Shade Strike against the dragon.
Fails.
King, blinded and covered in shadow.
Yeah.
These enemies have total concealment against your normal melee attacks.
So I'm like minus
-5.
7
If
to
you,
all my attacks.
yeah, but if you even knew what square they were in, which I think the ones that attack you could probably figure that one out.
Mhm.
Yeah, target has total concealment, melee range only -5 to the attack modifier.
Yeah. And then the 2 from the
That's the
shroud.
-2 from the shroud.
Well, you know, you'll attack. Which attacker? It was the number 1 or 2?
3.
3. 3.
Yeah, both of them
Mhm.
attack.
Yeah, I think she's going to go for number 1. That's where she stabbed before.
That's a miss. Blind,
And I
blind
think-
swing.
Can you hit while you're blinded?
I don't think anything stops you from shifting. Getting some distance by perceived enemies out.
then they can play.
Mm.
Oh, she'll stay.
Mm.
She'll save. 2 different saves, right?
First to get
shroud.
shrouded and then blinded.
Yes.
No longer trusting the macro. You will
Yeah.
roll that manually. In its cards.
Yeah.
Shaking the shadow off, she stands her ground. It is right.
Sorry, Leader Fear spends her remaining power points, figure down to 0, on another augmented Ego Crush attack against 4, 2, and 1. That'll be a 27, 30, and a 1 versus armor class.
That'll be 2 hits.
Alright. Hits are 26 damage, and target can't get combat advantage. This is 7 damage. Power of the
Bloodied.
psionic energy.
Bloodied.
As a free action, she has no power points. She will get a power point back.
So yeah, the shadow knocked, sort of knocked back against the wall here. Before
Just
bouncing
constantly
off of it.
slamming them into the wall.
Yeah. Just you want a saving throw?
She's juggling them. She's
And Imizuri, Leader Fear, like looks at you and this is another free action, but as she spends her move in minor, as like her head lights up and she says, "You will never escape from me."
Yeah. Sadly,
That'll
they
hit
used they used their invisibility power to come in here, only blasted by light. And now they have to make you blind, which is their plan. Maybe just Shade Strike.
That
That
will
is
just
A
hit.
critical hit for 22 necrotic damage. And the blind
Okay.
savings.
I will, but I broke free from that, so you can't use that attack against me.
Oh, you did. Yes, you did. Then it would be a Shadow Staff instead.
Alright.
Goodness. Now none of you are particularly.
No.
I think they would go 2 and 2. Sidestep over here. Attack Chang with Shadow Staff. Trying to bring back the shade. Really, these enemies are 11
Okay.
damage and a gloom. As well as sidestep here.
Like, tilts her head, like, I'm not gonna teleport. Like, just make the dragon just, like, tilts to follow.
Oh, he just doesn't want to be against the wall. Just swing the staff.
Yeah.
Surely the Nightwalker is back at some point, right?
We have a respawn of that, right?
Shu Cheng.
Yes. Will, use the one at will that is bestowed upon her.
That's a miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's your
Try and save.
Usually leader here says, "What did I say about escaping?" As like she rears her claw back, and rocks and debris like come up from around the walls and the floor beneath her. As towards her marked target, Master Darkmoon 4, she lashes out with a Living Fortress attack.
Oh.
Understood. Well, that will be a 2d6 instead of a 3, given the weapon she's using. So it's 37 points of damage.
Well, that is a number. 37.
After the as like it tries to escape around the side, and she just slams the body back into the wall. Until the end of the encounter, she and allies adjacent to her have cover.
Yes, their very temple has been used against them.
Fairy Temple. I will expend that final power point on a battle mind demand to mark 2 and mark 1. The turn ends, I will no longer be able to. The power of the helmet fades away.
Yeah. Well, crap. No, that's not good. Has to get you with these. The
Absolutely
dragon
not.
has so much defense. This one will attack the dragon too.
No.
This one will go for Shoot Chain still.
No. Attacking for number 1.
That is a miss.
Rough rolls, lady.
It's hard to hit Shadow.
That's a
Easier.
5.
Yeah.
That's and a 2. I don't know.
See here. Immusory leader here, like, scowls at, like, the one adjacent to the wall and says, "I am the Supreme Predator. You are weak." An unaugmented knifing wind attack. That's 37 versus armor class.
Yeah, that is definitely a hit.
17 points of damage on 2, and it is dazed until the end of my next turn.
She's just like throwing them about at this point.
Yeah.
He probably would say something back, but what do you say at this point?
She shifts here. Still the turn.
You know,
It's not like a dazed enemy can get combat advantage against me anyway.
swings and misses.
No.
This one will swing and miss, probably. Yep. This one will swing. Shoot, check. See, they're actually not that bad. They just, they're also. Luck has not been at their side. Then again, I think the Lady of Luck is actually their enemy.
Yeah, I feel like
Most people don't like Char, for
Yeah.
reasons.
They're friends with the Lady of. They're friends with the Lady of Bad Luck. So
Char would be
Xu Cheng.
Yes. Sweep. You know, she's not used to fighting this close. Normally she tries to keep distance, but she doesn't want to leave the dragon open to these flankings and such. It's more of a defensive.
Yeah, this usually doesn't come up. This is a dazed enemy that I will be attacking, and my melee attacks will deal extra damage. 5 extra damage per hit. Lashes out at Master of the Dark Moon 2 with an unaugmented Brutal Barrage. That'll be a 42, 34, and 43 versus armor class.
Oh, yes. That hits.
That'll be 21 plus 13, 36 points of damage.
Crutch.
He crushes the human. Shifts down here to like look down like the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the end of the turn.
Well, what are you gonna do? I mean,
No.
just can't. Well, they can hit. They just don't do it. Someone will have to brave into this light, even though he doesn't want to. Just to try to get a bit of precision. They swing their staves. They're moving all fancy, you know, as monks would. Stepping back, swinging, stabbing.
This titan congested area will be elder,
Yeah.
like green, like gold dragon, like wrestles, like this powerful shrine.
Ripping it apart bit by bit.
Shift and still target number 1. Come on. Yes.
That hit.
Ah,
Bit of damage. Falls on the ground. Sorry.
Okay. Well, unaugmented brutal barrage attack against. No, I tell you
Opponent?
what. Yeah, it's a burden of me. I'm going to delay.
Okay.
Until after 3. So just before Xu Cheng is going to act again.
Well, he'll stand up. Unless you want to stop him.
No? Oh yeah, that's right. You have a thing that can stop enemies from, like, punish them for standing up.
I think I've used.
It's
Trait.
an opportunity action. When an enemy uses the stand-up action within 2 squares of you, you use it as an like opportunity action.
I mean, yes.
So you get to make a sweep attack.
This one. Haha.
As he stands up, you crit. Dealing 14 damage. And knocking him prone again.
Falls back down.
Well. We can try to use it again. We might get smacked in the face again. But he already used his teleport. So he's going to try to stand up again.
Right. Well, can't be punished again
No.
because
But he
Yeah.
uses his action for it. So someone takes the chance
It's a reaction.
to move all proper in there to attack Shank stuff from knocking people down. No. Missouri.
unaugmented brutal barrage attack against Master of the Dark Moon 1. It'll be a. Ooh, that's a 27, a 40, and then a 1.
That is one hit.
All right, 21 points of damage. The Master is not marked, knocked prone.
Bloodied.
Not used to fighting next to someone like right here who isn't like a dragon.
Yeah.
Actually, like trying like not to like knock like the glaive out of her hand and,
Swing with
and throw her to the
tail
ground.
and wings, and
I mean, she'll move if
Hmm.
you want it.
you've cover as long as you're next to him.
Yeah, as long as you're next to me, you have covered.
Yes. But there is something else we can have.
+2 to
My
hit.
damage
Yeah.
is so little anyway. I think she would shift up here, and she's been defensive. She sees a chance.
It's another
Ah,
crit.
another crit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here to punish them for trying to stand up. You were the
Right.
controller.
Put down. You can do damage if they're prone.
Oh yeah.
This one will attack the dragon.
No.
Shift over here.
Shifts? How dare you? She teleports.
Oh, oh. This one will try to stand up.
Okay. Well, I have my reaction back.
Too. Will not work.
It'd be 28 versus Fortitude.
Oh, that hits.
Because you would have combat advantage because it's prone in the
Mhm.
process of trying to
Yeah.
stand up.
Slamming him, and then he'll have to use another action to stand up. Misery.
Alright. Well, this Master of the Dark Moon wanted to try a different angle. She will not permit that. Unaugmented Brutal Barrage attack. A 40,
3 hits.
42, 35, and a crit.
That is 3 hits.
Maybe they
I'll be
just
wrong.
attacked the dragon from the wrong angle. That's probably
Yeah.
what's wrong.
Yeah. 24 points of damage, and the Master falls prone.
These monks have never been so much on the ground. Switching.
Whoa. Whoa.
And she will move like that. And not provoke.
If you want to attack him, you can shift and do it. You have reach.
Yeah. I think. I want to just. I want to see it.
Do it.
Yep, do the thing
Have
that
fun.
you do when you beat up, when you bully like prone
You
people.
know.
That'd be 33 versus armor class.
Chop
Yeah, you
and
weaken someone. Hell
weaken.
yeah. This is why I moved myself in initiative to be before you, so that maybe I could set you up to do this.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, that's. I don't have anything from a
cough, cough. Stand up. Well,
Oh,
attempt to.
baby. Punish, punish, punish.
Oh.
27 versus
27?
42.
Will be 9 damage. Tries to stand up, gets hit with a glaive in the face.
Oh. Glory to the glaive.
This one turns to the dragon. I mean, you know, gotta go for that
No.
Hail Mary.
Marked.
The dream's alive.
29, 27, 43.
That looks like 2 hits.
Alright, 21 points of damage, and the Master falls prone.
Oh.
And then she shifts here. And gestures with a claw towards you and it's her turn.
If.
32 versus 35.
Oh.
26. Yeah. Yeah.
Chop.
When you
Oh.
when we get him prone,
Fucking-
that's where your damage comes.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking clean cut. Just
3d10. Yeah, that's better than your 1d8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I leave
It took us till the end of the combat to figure you out. Yeah.
chopping heads. As
Oh, we
the
were busy.
as the combat ends, the room is well lit somehow. Even in this situation, as the altar here twists and turns, sending horrible visions and life-draining rays and all sorts of bad things everywhere. Consumed by the dragon here, who in the end will also destroy it. After this fight here, crushing the continuously insubstantial shadow wrought shrine. Before actually
It
looking
also
around,
had a hit point total. Jeez.
before looking around, and actually seeming somewhat tired, Gilding Fire. Breathing out. The light in the room sort of, as the altar cracks, almost it feels like there should be a sound, as it seems like almost a shockwave sort of blasts the shadow, as if with light speed spreads out, as if turning light on in a dark room. Suddenly all the shadow just disappears. And not just here, but this effect spreads rapidly outside of this place. Because this altar was what was keeping it together. once more. This light on the horizon. The sun can rise unimpeded. City.
And he says, "Glitter."
Actually, more like a sort of an old dragon groan.
Emmy's early just here suitably fucking impressed. It's the same gold dragon that prepared like the purge spell plague ritual that cleared out Starmantle and has now just like dissolved like this immensely like powerful shrine to Shar that so many sacrifices have been devoted to over who knows how many years.
We'll glance over to her, sir, and say, good work. I could not have done this without you. He glances to like Xu Cheng and doesn't actually know who that is, but you know.
Assuming she's bowing because there's 2 dragons in her person.
I know. One even bigger than like the one who's been ruling the city.
I do feel like there's like, the green dragon contacted them. This other guy did.
Emmy's early just here says, "You had told me we would be meeting again. I had not anticipated it would be like this."
I have taken an active interest in the affairs of the world. There is much that must be done, and I believe the Emerald Enclave has a place in the future. A place even near my own home, the High Forest, far away from this place. They are a force unlike any other, a force that seeks to preserve and further the natural world. As the dragon sort of smiles slightly. Says, besides, we have met more often than you think.
I think Emmy's early looks suitably like as any young dragon would, like frightened and bewildered. I don't think
Like,
she
no, why? Like, thinking back in history where who
Yeah.
could be anyone.
Yeah. I mean, she's not gonna be like paranoid with the black dragon, but even it's like just like immediately like Rolodex, like.
There's that like slight experience what it is to be a black dragon always. Just like, oh, who could it be?
Emmy's early says, "Then it is certainly been to my benefit that you have kept an eye on me."
I think it's not you specifically, but the situations you get involved in are usually the ones that I too worry about. You're a strange example of your kind. But I suppose we're all strange in certain ways. My kind would certainly consider me far too involved to be considered wise. Sort of. And maybe there's a little bit of like an unusual bit of a slight like almost like a sarcasm. It's clear that this gold dragon might stand apart from other gold dragons with its behavior, and it probably does look down upon them a little bit for their. Like,
I am glad you have taken an active interest in these affairs when so many would not. Especially given the expectation of us.
Sort of, it is certainly a world of powerful enemies to make us stand together in a battle like this. Perhaps there is some positives in what is happening. Still, I will continue to work to end it. You have taken considerable steps yourself. If you require advice, so it says, measured, not wanting to really offer a blanket assistance here to the Green Dragon. In the future, you should be able to. Let me know.
Reacher says, "I am humbled by your offer, as I was when I first met you.
when I knew that I owned it.
As I believe the suitable answer is to be given when the young green dragon speaks with the elder gold dragon.
Yeah.
The dragon nods, looking upon the shrine. Says, and yet if you had not acted, then this would not have been done. Not yet, at least. My attention is pulled in many directions. I will be around, but first I said, looks like this thing had gotten dangerous. I do not want to guess at what could have been found here had Cindermoon succeeded in her capture of a chosen.
Leader looks towards the shrine, thinking of what Cindermoon has. No, I did not mean to teleport. Thinking of what Cindermoon wanted.
Gotta say, that's open, like, saying it right out of the bag there.
Yeah, maybe it's right. The green dragon says, "Yes, those of the Enclave have been reluctant to act. I do not know how well you have known her, but their emotional attachment to her has been difficult for me to work through."
I have known her by reputation only, and still mostly it is that way. I've heard of her, I have met her, but it was mostly before this situation. I will continue to push the Enclave to open their arms to the world and to spread out, doing as I do subtly when I have the time. I need rest. I am not usually humbled in this way.
Here, like, respectfully nods. Yep, the Elder Gold Dragon says needs rest. That we, when this interaction ends, it's time to go.
Since no more shadow within this place, or within these walls. Sort of it's a tired, wary sort of gold dragon smile as he sort of nods to himself. This was good. It was good action. So he will sort of step out, leaving the others to sort of, take care of whatever.
Yep. She respectfully lags behind the very old and powerful gold dragon.
She'll step out. Just take off towards the Osram Mountains.
She had expected Varos, and she knows that Varos, she knew this was a possibility, and yet, for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving. Takes several deep breaths as the shadow no longer looms above.
Oh yeah, no, it's light. Maybe even to the point where she didn't really realize how dark it was before it's now gone.
It has been happening red.
Oh yeah. It's a stark difference on the world map here.
Nods vigorously and says, "Yes, this is what I came here for. This makes my effort. It was not wasted." She's genuinely delighted. She taps her claw on the ground several times, and she remembers that there's a human that's standing near her. She, rotates.
I think Shusheng will just be a couple steps back always in Vero,
Yep. Her leader here says, looks at Shusheng and says, "Human, I tasked you with standing up for your weak culture, the civilization that allowed itself to be corrupted thus. And you have impressed the Predator in me. For this, you are deserving of a gift, more than your continued existence. I have a special interest now in you, to see whether you can succeed, whether your people can succeed, whether this weakness, this rot that so takes over civilization, can be kept at bay, and whether strength can flourish within you and with all whom you know. I will be watching you. She lays down, spreads out the portable hole, and she reaches into its depths, and from it she pulls out a small bloody thing, a necklace, a single dragon's claw, a green dragon claw, gore-soaked, on a chain that's been lengthened a bit, but still is very suitable for a medium-sized creature. The Talon Amulet. Missouri leader there says, "When I was but a wormling, and emerged out into the world, I encountered a druid of Malar, Amrath, who saw the great things that I was to do, the wondrous being I was to become, and chose to aid and guide me in that path. It is with him in mind, and with what you demonstrated, that I now bestow upon you what he gave to me." And, she reaches out and puts the Talon Amulet around Shu Chang's neck.
I mean, she's not gonna resist that. So like there's like maybe a little like stiffening, just because again she is baring her neck to the big predator.
The dragon hails deeply, and after like putting like the necklace around the human's neck, like claws are like rest on like Shu Chang's body, like almost affectionately, if a dragon could muster that, and says, "Yes, you have impressed me. Should these people fail, I am confident there is some strength here that can muster up something worth my notice and observation in the future." Major like looks away, like towards the sky again.
I think she just bows and thinks if saying anything.
And says, "Now we'll have to see how well your lady handles her test." And then the dragon like begins to laugh and like looks back at Shu Chang. It says, "I will give you advance warning. In the time of winter, I will take your lady, Chunlin, on a test of her own, not as rigorous physically as yours, but a test all the same to determine her fitness and suitability for rulership. You have proven that your people can endure, that they have the strength to be worth my time, but she might not be the one to rule. I permit you to give her this warning, so that she will know to expect this test to determine the fate of her life." With that, the dragon folds up the portable hole and flies off, figuring that Shu Chang might want some distance to contemplate and perhaps walk in the sun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's like there would be like clear flinching before like a Manakai like trying to master some kind of faith.
I mean,
Civic is said here in the profile like she does not want to lead her.
it's a meeting between ideology and, I mean, on one hand, She knows Chun would say that if the dragon deems her unworthy to lead, then that is most likely true, for the dragon has better judgment than any human would have. Dragons can see they can see the long-term benefit to some things that may not make sense in the short human lifespan. So if if a dragon told her to, she would step down. Then again, Xu Cheng believes that there's great promise in Chun. Personally, is sort of believes in her. So it's that's a rough reward to be given at the end by the dragon. But what can you do but accept? There's no
Yeah, I
real
mean,
choice
there's
there.
this thing, right?
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. Denizens of Shar is thrown out of the city for good. Dangerous. That's the word.
Right.
Had they been left alone, there's a world where this became the city of Bodax. Those things can spread like a nightmare once they actually get going. Given that things
Yeah.
killed by them also become them.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
can very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Yeah, you say no thank you, and yeah, I'm now like pointing up at like what's happening
Well,
up here.
Cormier's taking care of it. It's fine.
Cormier was surprised when they had dragons sending forces and money to support the Radiant Host.
You
Yeah,
know what?
we
Let them move all the troops.
Yeah, we fought Bodex personally when we confronted that lich, and we had some hiccups.
They were not great. Yeah, I don't like.
Yeah, to say nothing of what actual like humanoids would have trouble with.
Yeah.
Yes,
Anyway.
Bodex everywhere.
A lot of types of undead have special humanoid, anti-medium humanoid powers, which not so
Yeah.
dangerous here.
This is a rough area to be fucking just a peasant, or even like a heroic hero. Like this
Yeah,
area
like-
sucks.
Yeah, like even if like you're an adventurer, some renowned and bear, like Bodex aren't weaklings.
Like there's the Death King. Like like this area is rough.
Yeah, but I mean, all these powers don't want to fight you if you just join them.
Yeah, it's just evil.
Do you want to join Shah before your family is killed, or do you want to, join Shah after they've been killed and you have no hope left?
Yeah,
It's really your choice there for many people, certainly in Sembia. Like,
Yes, a choice.
becomes easy at that point to decide.
not easy. It was actually kind of refreshing to be able to look at like a little scrap of stat block and see what I could do. Like I gotta admit, as much as I love the complicated like thing of
Yeah.
4E combat, man.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. We might end up, as I said, we might end up ending up doing more of these sort of vignettes.
Like it's like compared to looking at like now on my own like characters, I'm like, oh man.
Well, it's like when I played Rearman Fair and never even got
Yeah.
20. I didn't have that many powers to like think about. It just was a brute.
Yeah,
Just did
it's really
dragon
cool.
things.
Even also just speeds combat up a lot. It's like, what can I do? Well, I have two things I can't do. One thing I can't do.
Most elites have some sort of inherent combo potential, right?
Yeah.
Which makes them a little bit more than a standard creature, which might have 2 powers, maybe some trait. And then a minion would have like 1, usually, maybe a trait. And then you'd have a solo that has
Yeah.
like a whole bucket list of like 12 powers or something.
I can definitely see it working.
There's nothing else Vercigatrix wants to do for like this year. There's no other event that happens. I think then with the coming of winter, that is going to be Chun Win's test time.
Let's have it.
Okay. Before that, is Veros like around like in the vicinity, like in the aftermath of?
Like not on the same day, no, he's out doing things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
I think like if he's really good, we just like consider like Baros's wishes of like wanting the two of them to keep separate anyway. There will come a time when they'll have to speak about things.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, dick
Yeah.
move, dude.
Well, it's not about the gold dragon. It's about the like the plans of like different enclave, but also like the accomplishment of that together.
It's
But
the-
also like a little bit of advance notice that Gildan Fire came. That would have been really cool.
Like, did you like not just yeah?
Like I expected you to be doing a ritual like around the altar me protecting. And it's like an elder like gold dragon. It's apparently been watching me.
There's like I mean she and Veros have an understanding. Like I mean, luckily I guess this dragon was in on it too. But okay, yeah.
The talent dragon, the gold dragon, and it is several like age categories. It's multiple age categories above me. What the hell am I supposed to do with that? Help it, I guess. Alright. Then come winter, these early year stays like through the autumn here in Nathlek, doesn't have much of a need to like go out and do things, like keeps to the city, but begins like instilling in her minions that the time to be moving out is going to be soon. To take further action elsewhere that will no longer have to be peacekeepers and, you know, squat over like civilization. We could be done with that soon. The leader Thier will go to Chunwin and lead her down like the tunnelways, heading for the vault. And I suppose we should probably move our Cicatrix's token from there.
I will move over there.
The two of them heading for the vault door that only the true dragon can open.
Jermaine is dressed nicely in like a silk gown with embroidered sort of a golden lung dragon. The gown is a jade green color. Looks old. You know, she's dressed up finely for whatever is to happen.
Perhaps pointedly, Emi's early leader is not wearing the fine jewelry that was gifted to her by these people.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps her quiet. She's not one for idle chatter anyway, as she leads Chunwin to the vault. Touches the door to open it, and then gestures the lady inside.
She'll go inside.
And she closes the vault door behind them. Now we're just like in the light of the vault.
Mm-hmm.
She says, "You have done well to satisfy the ego, the avarice, the need for others to understand how superior I am. What you have not done is satisfied the predator in me. It has not been proven. There has been no assurance that upon my departure, you will be fit and capable to rule, that I will not have to come back here in a short time and retake this city and destroy it. That is what tonight will serve, to determine your fitness for the predator."
She'll nod. Says, "What would you have me do?"
For now, listen. Dragon inhales, like looks around like this opening area, and says, "Your previous lore master, your keeper of knowledge, whom sequestered himself, locked himself in here, was not to be found years back when this vault was opened. I am uncertain whether he is currently alive at this time, but his presence was not here. When I entered this vault, it was with an older dragon, a black dragon, whom had a desire for knowledge, and who the learnings here taught us both much, who now owes me a favor. Some of that knowledge I will now share with you. If you are to rule, then you will need to know what has gone on here. And if you are unfit, it will be irrelevant that I tell you.
She does a deep bow, clearly readying herself to learn. It is something, listening and learning is something she's done her entire life. In these courtly manners, she knows she's good at memorizing facts. Certainly.
Before the spell plague, before my birth, there existed a mage of immense power, a diviner, one who could see the future, who could see her own future and that of the world around her. She was a Thayan wizard, a Zolkir of divination, by the name of Yaffle. Her power, her presence, was so immense, so impactful, that to this day, the Thayans search all over this region in Faerûn, looking for any shred of her whereabouts, any inkling of where she could be, or what she may have done before the spell plague. What I discovered here with the Black Dragon with Cicatrix proves, emphatically, that Yaffle spent time here before the spell plague. She gestures towards a tablet that is not blocking the door, but it's still like left near it.
Yes.
She left a message there for dragons to find. She made arrangements with your prior lore master and keeper to sustain an act of aggression against the Black Dragon for Cicatrix. The Black Dragon's hoard was raided, and tools were made with that, which were left behind by Yaffle. And with that, Emizure Leaders here, like, opens the door and, like, walks through and gestures for Chunwin to do the same.
Yeah, she
and there
does.
you have, like the various items that were made, like an artifice.
Within this room, she's attentive. She's never been here before. It's really sort of taboo that she is, but a dragon let her in. That's pretty much the biggest sort of welcome she can take. So she's taking the chance to.
I do not know exactly what deals or arrangements this Yaffle made with your prior Keeper of Knowledge. Only that these were made, and that they resulted not just in the creation of items, which I do intend to take with me, based on the message left behind by this Zolkir, but also a portal of Thayan manufacture. She, like, walks in here, and, like, you know, the disabled portal is, like, there against the wall, which I suspect your lore keeper had a hand in its creation, and then departed through.
She looks at the items for a short moment. She doesn't know much of like magic herself. She's not a sorcerer or anything, but she sees the arcane mark certainly, and that she can recognize. She knows where to look basically for any signature. And we'll just silently nod before moving in here, and sort of probably being clearly like, this is not what she expected. Even as the words reached her, she narrows her eyes a bit. Again, she's not trying to do it so deliberately. It's more of a subconscious effect of she's beginning to think about like how does this play in with the conspiracy of Shadow and like whatever else she has discovered. A portal under the city does not seem to be in line with what she thought would be here. She looks at the Missouri and sort of follows.
The Green Dragon says, the portal led to, I am uncertain exactly where, beyond this realm, certainly. I could not provide the exact specifics, other than to guarantee this portal of Thayan design has also been seen elsewhere within this region, beneath the ruins of Starmantle, where blue fire consumed it until I worked on purging them. And also another dwells beneath the city of Westgate, where blue fire also consumes it. That fate could have befallen Naflek as well. I took the precaution of disabling the portal to ensure it could not. The blue fire feeds off of magical energy, and I do not think you would want to hope for Nobanian to save your city once again.
She's about to say something, and then she just quiets and awaits the dragon's,
I tell you these things because the Thayan's obsession with any knowledge pertaining to that of Yaffle, because the Thayans have moved in to the city of Westgate, that they have no other major powers to challenge them, and that I know for certain they have tried to establish a presence here in Naflin in the past, and given time and opportunity, they will attempt to do so again. And should they ever learn what I have told you, they will come with a greater force, and they will never go.
She as that is being revealed, the dots connect in her mind as well as she slowly nods, and there's a this is not something most people would notice, right? But Imizuri is a powerful dragon of high level and has a very good passive insight. So there's clearly a thought of trepidation here. Like Junwan has herself spoken to Thayans, who have come here to look around. Like not recently, but years back. And the thought of what could have been is. She's been on an edge of a cliff without knowing it. She again nods, not wanting to interject before being asked to.
The Green Dragon says, I have heard a good word, that the Thayans have built one of their portals, one of their enclaves in Westgate, that allows for direct travel with their homeland, so that all their academics and scholars can proliferate this region. I also know it very well, that once they establish themselves somewhere, they are almost impossible to remove, given their unnatural being and the immense power of their nation. Should it ever come to their attention that Yaffle associated with your Lord Keeper, that she directly charged him with tasks, that they had agreements and accords, and that he assisted her in some way, and that this portal I dismantled would have led to further her own interests, I cannot guarantee what it is that they would do, and you might hope for a reality where I would come back to destroy the city in the face of what they would do. That is the burden of knowledge that you who would seek to rule this place must know. For if the Thayans do come here, understand they are just as unnatural as the shadow I worked so hard to destroy, and I would be forced to take immediate action.
She'll nod. I mean, this is a lot of revelations in a short time. She's doing her best to simply commit all of it to.
Yes. See her like scrutinized, like heavy as the weight of like the intelligent worm that like stares at the human. And then she pulls from around her neck the portable hole and begins to unfold it and place it like on the ground in the center of the room. Says, yes, you have worked to assuage my ego, but what will it be in a year from now
10 years from now, when it's your children, your children's children, 400 years, what will it be? What will become of you? What will become of these people? Will I have to return to resolve something I could just take care of tonight?
The portable hole finishes like being filled in. The green dragon reaches in and slowly begins to pull something large out of the portable hole. It does quickly take shape despite the slow speed of the dragon. It is a throne, an immense chair that can easily fit a medium-sized creature, carved from solid jade, with the stylized, like the dragons, the shoe people on the armrest of the throne, and on the back of it, the gloating, ever watchful face of Imisure Weaverfear.
Julian's eyes widen. This was not what she expected. The dragon to pull out, and she looks up, like puzzled. Right? She thought maybe she would have to like kill something, or something like that. But this is a beautiful treasure, really. So she looks up and says, "I don't understand."
Of course you don't. As the dragon like sets like the throne down, like like sort of like thuds like the weight of it. It says, "Have a seat."
She will step up, and she's sat in thrones before, that nothing like this. They don't really have one like this. It's it's for dragons, but she will take her place upon it.
As she sits, Imisure Weaverfear begins to pace and circle around the throne. She says, "For ages, kings, monarchs, emperors, empresses, whatever titles weaklings use, have had something, a device, a tool of rulership to sway the thoughts and opinions of their subjects. If you possessed such a tool, such a device, if it could be made available to you, if you could have it, if through this you could see into the hearts and minds of the people you sought to rule, what would you do with it? Would you even do anything with it?"
She sort of runs her hands over the armrests, feeling the sort of cold jade stone, and looking out. I suppose the chair is sort of facing away from Imisure,
Yeah, every now and then, like, she'll catch a glimpse of
Yeah.
the dragon as she circles
moving
the
around.
throne.
And I think she will just take a moment to sort of allow herself to attune, right? There's no real attunement here beyond just she doesn't have any magic items equipped, so it's not really a problem. While sitting upon the throne, and having this sort of sense, Missouri is not a subject, and so there can't really be any betrayal, but there certainly isn't deception either. And it's not that she's looking for it; it's the fact that she knows while sitting upon it. As I mean, it's a thing of power. Gives off a feeling of power. The fact that she could now, as a standard action, choose to just try to take control of someone's mind for a time is an ability the thing conveys. She sits here and considers, perhaps what the dragon wants her to say, but at this point, this is so far out of what she thought she would be doing that she really has no idea how to play this game.
And that's how the dragon wants it, right?
Yeah, as she would say. For the most part, something I would trust my senses. I would not want to dull them by relying too much on magic. However, it is clear that our enemy is smart, quick, and skilled beyond what we have for the longest time been able to muster. They broke into our systems, they banished the Cat Lord. They took over the city, and it happened before we had time to stop it. Had I some power then that I could have used to find out who could be trusted, who was with them, to stop them, to make them tell me what they were planning, I would have used it. Her face growing slightly cold, and I would do so again. What we lost to could not be allowed to be repeated.
Do you have the power, the capacity to make hard choices to determine the survival of your people in the coming years and decades? Are you capable of the necessity of what it means to be the best?
She'll think on it for a moment, because the wording is ambiguous. And she'll nod and say, "If I had not had the will and the capability to lead my people through hard times, then I would be dead. They have survived, we have survived, even the occupation of the Shadow, because we, the Jade Hall, took hand of the situation. We made the hard choices. The easy choice was to fight immediately, but to fight and lose. Then we would not have been here now to aid in the liberation of our city."
Do you believe yourself in a position to take and hold power should I leave? And with my leaving, my numerous and varied minions, knowing what you know about the situation, not just here in Nafla, but in the surrounding environment.
She paused for a moment, because there's a painful truth that the city is weakened. Like, they haven't had a military because they couldn't really make one while being occupied. As she will say, there is no one else. The Dragon Guard follow my command. They are our remaining military force and will be expanded. There is always going to be a force strong enough to crumble us. But we have felt what it is like to lose, and the people that are here still are embittered. They know that our culture cannot take much more of this. We need years of peace, and the best way to have them is to be too strong for anything to consider crossing us. Of the city to the south, what it has become, I don't know. Perhaps diplomacy there will be better than war. But should the Shades return, or as you have told me, the Red Wizards of Thay, there is no alternative than victory.
Elidavir stops circling around the throne. Shuffles to be in front Judwin to gaze at her face as she sits upon the throne of dominion.
She has a hardened gaze. It's quite clear that this line of questioning has brought her into some pretty dark thoughts about what might happen and what she might have to do. It sort of is making everything feel very real and very immediate. The danger and the sort of threats the city faces. Yeah.
I have made it abundantly clear. I do not seek to lord over your city. I will also restate that if I need to return to liberate it, the city may not survive that. I took great pains to keep your weak people intact, because it suited my interests so well, because I needed assistance with purging the shadow that dwelled beneath here. That shadow is gone now, and while I would still like to keep my relationships, should I need to come back here with force, sparing this place a second time would be beyond my ability to care. I will give you and your servants and your people the opportunity to exist, to thrive, to grow strong. I will keep close watch in these years and decades through your life and beyond to see whether your people can face and defeat the weakness that I always see consumes civilization. Maybe there could be strength here. Maybe you might endure, and maybe you might become stronger than I would have predicted. I'm willing to give you the chance to prove me wrong. At the turn of the year, the city is yours, its people to do with as you desire. I will pull back most of my minions, but keep some here, a watchful gaze should any attempt to infiltrate or harm the city during continuous years to come. After all, the former government was pushed in exile to the Osram Mountains, but not defeated. And I would not be so cruel as to expect you to defeat them. Not yet. You will have a grace period. We'll see what you can do with it.
She will bow deeply, just placing her palms on the floor for a moment. Once again, standing up in front of the throne, right, facing Emissary, and say, by your wisdom, we will prevail.
He says, the
Will.
responsibility of this vault is now yours, as is the throne. Use it well, as you said you would.
She bows her head again. Says, you will grow strong and not waste the chance that you have given us.
You may depart now. And we'll walk Shunwin to the vault so that she can leave it.
Mm-hmm. Which she will do. She's shaken, but perhaps also walking, a bit different than when she came, which was sort of a trepidation. Now it's more of it's a bit more steel in her step. She certainly hasn't become a gentler person from this experience.
She should not have. There were correct things to say to the worshipper of Malar, and they were incorrect. The items of artifice that were created here, Emissary Leader is gonna like take those and put them in the portable hole, like the things that the apple may very well have been left behind for us. I'm also gonna take the tablet as well. Don't want to leave that behind. That's not a thing I want anyone to like else like get a handle
Play
of.
with, yeah.
Yeah, put that in the portable hole. The throne is we're gonna take that back up to like the top. She's gonna put that like in the audience chamber, and she'll leave Shunwen to explain that because Shunwen is the one who ultimately is going to be ruling the city.
Mhm.
She can explain that however the hell she sees fit. But with the end of the year, as we are winters for time, the army is packing up and moving out with basically the folks who want to stay in the city. The folks who are like more comfortable here, you know, your lycanthropes or what have you, or maybe some of the drow who don't want to be in the woods anymore. Like they'll remain behind to keep an eye on things. But I will permanently deduct the point of territory again. This is hers.
Can put down down there.
Hell yeah.
Of Nefik, City of the Jade Dragon. So currently they're weak, but as goes, they will have time to repair and strengthen themselves.
Oh, they're cool. For humans, you know, not bad.
The Sphinx is watching from the Pride Rock,
Okay.
the top of it. Yeah, well, that's quite something. You got anything to follow that up, Aaron?
No.
No visit to the mountains, or
Will this winter be when we begin the wooing Getra? Okay.
all right.
Could be another part of year then.
That sounds like it. Which means that we can all complete our tokens. Begin to have winter pass.
Oh.
Shit, the Emerald Enclave moves up because, you know, there's the shadow's been dealt with. That's great. And now it needs to be dealt with elsewhere. I've been informed that there's a need for them out in the world. And certainly there's more than one force pushing them to action.
Yeah. Don't take my word for it. Take the Elder Gold Dragon.
It's you know, there's people from both sides of the aisle that want them to do something.
God, I want to know who they are. Like, dragon, like.
Hmm.
Who are you?
You see, you get bullied by older dragons. I don't get bullied by older dragons.
Well, I mean, just you wait until, you know,
I suppose, yeah, the Lord of all dragons, like Master
Everett,
of Storm.
you know, yeah, like, fucking.
And he wants to gather his council of 5 or whatever.
No, he doesn't. Why would he want a council? He is the
It's
winner
one
the
of,
only-
well, I mean, you need to have one of each, you know, like a cape behind you.
That's true. Yeah, they hold the cape.
But, yeah, well, that's the end of the year then. And the beginning of track our time. Entering a new decade. So looks good.
Man, that preparation really paid off. That did not feel like a tough fight at all.
That was, well, you know, for someone who doesn't want to apply themselves, yes, that's very much so. The
Yeah, the plus 80 damage each attack certainly certainly did it, right?
You know, imagine if I were some sort of puny person that just only did like one attack and didn't have the
Yeah.
brutal barrage power.
Yeah.
Oh,
Imagine that.
Killing that thing would have taken what, 3 times as long?
yeah. And if I didn't buy the Crusader's weapon that allowed half my damage to be in radiant,
That's
it's
like
not
6
like
times as long.
Battle Mind give me a radiant power.
No, I mean that thing just was one to try to get you to bloodied,
Yeah.
then
yeah,
figure
it
of
was the
death
finger
to
of
0,
death,
and then conversion into its minion, right?
Like that is
Yeah.
fucking
No,
Yeah.
no.
undead things are very mean in general. All sorts of.
I did the prep work, damn it. Thank you, Baron, for giving me the knowledge.
Monster knowledge is a powerful thing, especially when you work on years, right?
He's
All
like,
right.
You'll face a Nightwalker. What is a Nightwalker? Let me tell you.
I don't know about him.
Still alternative having an undead dragon walking about. That's not great.
That'll be when we explore, like, what happens to the Apple's ritual when one of us becomes undead.
She just gets Bodak essence added to her mix. Oh,
That's
something.
good.
Maybe not
I think
the
I'm vulnerable to all
not the form she anticipated. And the child is suddenly born just a screaming death face.
Something she didn't foresee.
Oh,
Yeah. Ah, that's a win, really.
We got it. We bamboozled her.
Yeah. Right.
on death means that hell can have the soul, and you can still go around doing things for them. Just imagine. Yeah. Well, I mean, beginning of a new year. Is there anything we? I mean, you know, we have a little bit of time left here. If there's anything we should.
No, I'm airy. Like the session's been pretty
Yeah.
focused on like resolving stuff and Naflek. You have like a plan you're gonna like kick off, or how you're gonna like integrate the Sleepers Council into you?
I said do, but it's also late and I'm really tired.
You can tell us
So
about it.
I don't
Nothing
mind
else.
if sitting back is.
Yeah. How are you gonna do it? What are you gonna like
I'm-
use like honeyed words? Are you gonna like
I'm not gonna-
trickery?
Do that right now. I think my primary focus right now is still the universe.
Okay. Sure,
Because
the
I also
runes.
want that to be done so that
Yeah, the tribes.
when Shim is done, we can make the shrines.
Right. How you thinking about dealing with the tribes? Like, what's your thought about that? Like, should you like try and find like you begin like eliminating them, or you gonna like try and like woo any of them to you? Like, what's your thought process with the tribes?
Yeah, I mean, probably both.
Okay.
I think it's just whether
Right. You like the ogre magi, the telekinetic bugbear? Like, who you think?
I mean,
What-
anyone who is like necrotic magic suddenly gifted to them when they reach down below is like probably a no.
Right. That's a no.
Which discounts the two stronger, of course.
It's probably the
The hard
telekinetic
goblins
bugbear.
and the
isn't it?
ogre.
It's probably the telekinetic bugbear.
I mean, could be. There's also the high shaman of Usopp, the hill giant, but I mean,
Do you really want a hill giant?
no.
No. No. You've had enough of giants. You've had more than your fill of giants.
I didn't even care about the giants. They were just
Exactly.
like thrust upon me.
Exactly.
They
But a
care about
telekinetic
these things now,
bugbear.
they're gonna try and kill you. Like, what are you talking about?
A bugbear is medium-sized creature. Like, that can go places. That doesn't have to be in the mountains. You can't take a giant with you everywhere, but you can take a bugbear.
Well, I mean, he can also, seems like he can go in all the small places.
Exactly, yeah.
Where I don't fit in so well.
Yeah.
Put them down so we can get like a little visual of the contest here.
Oh. Yeah, look at that. No. Oh, man. Look at that guy. That's the guy I wanted
Yeah.
diplomacy with.
What, are you not sold on Kazel the Wanderer here?
Fuck. No.
I mean, correct the cannibal. I mean, he just... What's wrong
I
with
mean,
that?
I suppose he could solve my Oprah problem if he gets,
Yeah.
really into it. Eat all the other Oprahs.
I mean, all of these look like they're the approachable sort.
Right? Who's Castle? Which is he the Hobgoblin?
He's a hobgoblin. See, they only come out at night.
Again, dark power from underneath is like. The only cool powers that, rest underneath these mountains is probably Malignant, and, haven't been told of any. Yeah, so really it's about a fucking hill giant, or.
Look at him. Look at him.
I just love the name. Purr. It's like a sad cat, Purr. Yeah. I mean, he looks very enthusiastic as well, right? Like,
You're looking for collectible NPCs that you can have. Like, that could be one. And Getra can be the other one.
Like, I don't want this guy to represent my brand.
Exactly. You definitely don't want this high shaman, like hill giants. No, you can't really work with that. We talked about the undead thing, so there you go.
Really,
Telekinetic bugbear.
the Sigurd looks at them and just like, yeah, there's these really strong people, but they're all fucking undead or hill giants.
Yeah.
These two are not undead. They're perfectly alive.
Here's the thing,
I lied with you,
like-
bitch.
yeah, rumor says they're more intelligent than ogres, but like where Cicatrix could be like, okay, well, that's not a very high bar to clear. All of my minions are more intelligent than ogres.
They certainly would all be receptive. You could meet them. You're a black dragon. You could help tip one of their strengths. I mean, if you joined with one of the powerful factions, then
None of them would say no to a conversation with you.
oh no, quite the opposite.
You're the one who can influence the power here.
Yeah, I considered like allying with one of the more powerful ones, getting them to slay everyone other than the other faction that I want to be with, and then ditching them after. But I feel like when the Death King is involved, that gets a lot harder because you can just feed them whatever. So even if I try and persuade them, he might just be like, no, don't do that.
I mean, you could take that thought, but look, even epic powered individuals cannot exert their he's not God. There's no divinity there.
No, but he's already given the power, right? He can always be like, no, you don't want to do what I say. All right.
I mean, at least Goblin rumor says so.
Right.
Try and beat them. It's true.
Yeah, it could be really true. And you can't say they're super bright, and they're gonna look at the dragon that's in front of them. That's gonna make more of an impression.
Yeah, you're suddenly you're a big fish coming into their pool. And,
I
the
am the
the
pool.
the southern tribe microcosm here. That's
I am the pool.
I'm the dragon with the best underwater. I will not be made of fish. I think so. There needs to be some pools in the mountains. That's when all's done.
There used to be a large water basin in there.
Yeah, I know, but that seems from
Oh.
what I hear that was not a nice place either.
Broke
so-
the dam. So just think that these giants used to have running water in the mountains. Yeah,
Once upon a time.
it's all broke.
All this drama only happened because the fire giants left.
I mean, certainly didn't stop. Didn't yeah. None of them really wanted to fight the fire giants. I think this is a powerful opponent.
Right.
More confident against each other, but still, there's a fragile balance of continued skirmishing. The two ogres could crush Little Burr, but if they did, then they would be weaker than Castle now, and it's like, yeah. And if one of them should win, they might well become like. Maybe the mountains are too decentralized too. I mean, there's basically no infrastructure here. It's all just huts and caves and stuff like that.
Right. There's no real value to the territory.
No. Unless you value manpower, in which case, there's some of that. Certainly what the giants were paid in. That and like the occasional raiding, like stuff.
But
that kind of-
giants can fucking.
All right then, folks. Next time we'll have the pursuit that Versicatrix will have and how she is going to handle this, meeting various NPCs, deciding which one of them she wants to try and collect, and which one of them she's willing to kill.
I mean, willingness to kill has never been a weakness.
Oh, the life of a dragon.
I am the pool. And perhaps the pursuit of her goal involving the Sleepers Council. Oh, Getra, it's been so long since Getra's made an appearance. What kind of shape and form that will take? Versicatrix looks to maybe get back into Westgate.
Honestly, I feel like with that, it's like looking at it at Westgate, I'm like, well, at one point this is gonna be a disaster. like, oh, you might need some persuasion. I'm like, well, I'll turn my eye to this ascension first, then we'll see if something bad doesn't happen there. Doesn't look great.
And don't forget that the Thaans, untouched or unchallenged by anyone, are just, here they are in the ruins of Red and Seer. They might move to Elm, or they might move to Redwater. They might rebuild a bridge and then go further south.
They have tried sending individuals of considerable power, and they have nothing to show for it.
They have. And it's like, well, even if our liches can go missing, something's happening here.
Yeah, let's just do this and keep track of everything that happens. There's enough of us, they can't just like ghost and be gone. At least now whatever
Yeah,
opposes them, they will know.
Yeah.
Which, if someone throws themselves against a fully powered Fae, then that thing has a good reason, most likely. It's not something you just do.
You're like, who would oppose that?
If a red wizard walks through Westgate, he's not gonna get stabbed. You're not gonna stab him. He's a red wizard. There's incredible trouble you'd be in.
Well, that didn't stop the Red Banner host from stringing up those ambassadors from Fae.
No, they didn't know who they were. And the Cyric worship, I mean, they don't care.
Exactly.
I just love the chaos and the death. And I mean, Sirik has this thing where they just try to do the worst possible thing in any given situation. So, worst for anyone. Just them, someone else, doesn't really matter.
It was definitely the worst.
Mm-hmm. Gave them an excuse. Really. They came here as liberators somehow.
Maybe what happened down here can be an inspiration to others. Shar can be beaten. She can be driven back.
Meanwhile, it doesn't even make the news. It's like a, 2 lines under the big, like, the Radiant Post page, everything about, like, hashtag, bring the light, and then there's like, oh yeah, something happened down that, like, it's pretty cool. It was a cool dragon that did it.
Well, not that anyone really saw.
Ah!
Yeah, no one would have that news.
No, it's true.
Okay. Maybe Zora Legionnaire believes in this thing called public relations.
Public relations dragon. Well, it has been beneficial. She has to deal with a lot less crap than she otherwise would. If she was just mean all the time.
Right. That's how the Green Dragon gets you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all part of some long con.
Oh yeah. I have no doubt.
I
Thing is
mean,
that to some people, the long con.
The Emerald Enclave, I think that is pretty much.
You
Yeah.
could live your entire life. So could your children and grandchildren. But then there might be a problem, and people will be like, oh, you know what? Maybe they'll
That's
fix
right.
it then.
4 generations from now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh.
Okay. I mean, that
Whatever.
kind of sucks. I'll tell my grandchildren not to have kids.
It's
You know.
not even remotely my problem.
Well, I mean, so much could change.
It has.
Yeah.
Last 400 years in the realms are fraught with change. Honestly,
1,000 years of peace.
I would not put my money in the bank. It's like it's too expected in 400 years. Cities have fallen and been rebuilt. That's something at least. I mean, this might be currently, sort of globally, actually these years are kind of quiet because nothing cosmic is happening. Sort of, meaning that the overgod is chilling a little bit for now. that has not been normal in the realms. So
Just all the children acting out.
it's history's long, and you could also say about the fantasy worlds that they love making like, and 10,000 years went by, and you're like, no, that's at that point you're kicking me out of your lore here because that doesn't make any sense. But the realms have so many novels and things to draw upon that there's history having pretty much all the time.
The magic enforced the peace, Vatican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't understand.
That's what happens when there's a lot of powerful magi. That's when that happens.
Well, I think what we're doing here is interesting, right? Because we're actually playing at a time scale you normally don't see. Normally, a campaign might last a year, like in game, or even if you travel a lot or something, there might be a time skip, and you might do like 2 years, 3 years, maybe. But we've done a lot of time. I mean, let's see how old are these dragons even at this point. We're have gone through 80 years of time.
I am over halfway to adulthood at this point.
Yeah, just
I
imagine.
might actually begin laying fertile eggs. Holy shit.
So it's that's not normally something you get to see, and tracking like the world here and what happens in it, given the time period we're playing in, is very much player driven and faction driven. Like all these people trying to accomplish things, right? Making a dynamic place where no matter where on this map you look, things have changed based on what we did and what happened. So I think that's it's a big part of the draconic timescale. That was always meant to be a big part of it.
I I mean, I just love every time the Death King is mentioned. I think about that stupid, like, I don't know, second episode or something where the tomb was interrupted. And I'm like, man, that happened quick. Been going on for a while.
Yeah, well, undead beings also work at a different time scale than
Yeah.
most things. Like there could always be a more opportune moment, right?
It could. That's what the Black Dragon says.
Well, I hope you had fun. I certainly did.
Did.
This was, I mean, basically Brimith sort of drove this session forward with the narrative. It was it's delightful. I didn't really know what to expect with these tests, but you know, I'm glad they succeeded. I think the world is more interesting when they're not like in it than the ruin
Xu
here.
Chang's one was going to be the more direct one of the two,
Yeah,
just due to the very combat nature.
yeah.
And
I'm
Xu
curious.
wins, though.
What would have constituted a failure in that combat? Would it have been like
it-
death or
It would have been like in the case of like Junwen, she would have died in there.
okay? If that was
As
the-
for like how she would have failed, I mean, there's so many ways you could upset the dragon, but like it would have been like either like a weakness or like a lack of will or an unwillingness to make use of a device into the third of Dominion.
Mhm.
Like if there wasn't like a commitment there or an understanding of what a predator and a green dragon, a worshipper Malar might want from you, then that just would have been, no, you're too stupid. Or what's so wrong with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you sort of conveyed that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Had you asked like, what do you think of Thay before explaining anything? It probably would have been something like, they have useful power and are generally generous in trade, right?
Yeah.
They pay well, and the things they ask for are usually not
Give them a
valuable.
fair chance, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I was the ancient legendary like intelligent worm
yeah.
instead of like some cruel trickster.
Like, you can't expect them to have all the answers. They are puny humans. Short, sad lives.
Right.
But
Which their culture is basically about embracing. I mean, like, yes, dragons are the best. Dragons know
well, I mean,
this.
they just like they look at that monster intelligence score and they're like, we can't compete with that. You know.
They're like, we made our nature checks. We know how intelligent dragons are. The dragon's like, yes, that is perfectly correct.
I mean, they came from a continent whose prosperity is directly linked to the decisions of non-dragons. So there certainly is a bit of a twisted look on their own culture, right? Like a romanticizing of something they actually don't have any direct connection to anymore. But I mean, yeah, the Jade Dragon faction is certainly thoroughly unaligned. You have the Shadow faction being probably evil, and then you have the Banyan Knights being good.
No Banyanites.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, they had a bad
Not
time.
this
of it.
region.
They had a bad time of it. There's still some of them around, people who used to at least, but nowadays, I mean, there's no answering prayers, so pretty much you're just a follower of the Oak Father now, if you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
should-
These humans might forget, but at least for now, they're going to have to remember that it was the Green Dragon that came to save them, and that Green
Oh.
Dragon's a worshipper of the light.
They're not going to forget about the Green Dragon part at least. So it fits perfectly with the Jade Dragon factions as of MO.
Absolutely.
And they, you know, yeah, with how Emissary did this, I reflected their new faction traits on it, and their sovereignty isn't terrible. It would have been had they just left, basically, right? But they've certainly spent time there, and through that they've been able to spend quite a bit of legitimacy. And now it'll be about reestablishing their other forces and other powers. But they don't have to. There will be no like demonstrations of fight in the streets or anything like that to trouble them.
It probably helps that that their leaders actually survive
Yeah,
the end of the session.
Oh yeah. Otherwise you could have seen something else happen. You go into a city, decapitate every sort of existing hierarchy and leadership position, you're probably gonna get some sort of warlord. Whoever has the strength to do one thing or another,
Yes. No, I found them to be interesting enough, and I believe they can represent an opportunity to prove to Emisaray Leader Theater that civilization can actually be strong and not like full of corruption.
I mean, if it is built on the value that dragons know best, that's a good start.
It's filled with strong people. It's a good start.
Dragon has given his wisdom, right? Become strong. Physically. Make others unable to tell you what to do. Which, well, once they were, but they sort of relied heavily on Wemics and sphinxes and dire lions and whatnot.
Yep. They lost their own strength.
Perhaps now it's the time of man
They relied on the protection of others.
to raise more glaives and train their own monks and
That's
whatnot.
great.
That's the time of man. That's the correct assessment you should make for this.
Yeah.
I look forward to like 40 sessions from now, when a few generations pass. I head back to the city and I take the fucking throne back. You people aren't worth it anymore.
A few more decades, yeah.
Yep.
100 years later.
100 years of peace later. Right. Next week, though, Eric, you'll have to drive. Be up to you. I'm looking forward to these escapades you're going to have with NPCs. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
They will fawn and scrape before you. Except for the beholder.
Yeah, something that's a long-term
Yeah.
project.
So we completed a goal, and I got magic
did.
items.
Woo! And got some loot, yeah. Let's just calculate our XP.
Figured I'd make up for the cost of the magic items that
Yeah.
I bought by taking those things.
Oh, sure, people don't need killing items that kill dragons. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, they definitely.
Take these.
That is the incorrect idea. I will leave it there.
Yeah. No.
If you see another of my kind, slay them.
No.
Elder Gold Dragon.
This will be your test. It's like, oh. Oh boy.
That would have been the moment to strike, right? Will the Gold Dragons weakened? Aha!
I want to find that elder fucking golden dragon.
Jeep comes back and looks down. It's like, welcome to
That'll be
Nathland,
weird.
the city of dragon slayers. You're like, oh. This, why is this now? Yeah, a little bucket load of XP there. Still nowhere close to another level. Yeah, it's a big one.
Sure. Maybe you'll carry us the rest of the way in the coming weeks, Eric.
I don't know. That's
I'm putting my faith in you.
And I think with that, I'll end the stream and recording. And if
Yes.
everything goes well, the vote will be on YouTube, either on mine or supposed to back up if something is broken.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yep, can be shared with Haldemir on Haldemir and Rahal's playlist.
Mhm.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
fine.